The oceans of the ancient world were realms of wonder, but also terror. Home to some of the most enormous and awe-inspiring creatures ever to exist. Long before the dawn of humans, these colossal beings dominated the seas. Their immense size and power shaping the ecosystems of their time. Fearsome predators that roamed the prehistoric depths, these creatures were the true titans of the deep. In this video, we will dive into the prehistoric oceans and explore 10 of the most terrifying giant sea creatures that once ruled the waters. So without further ado, let's begin. Named after a biblical monster and a whale from Moby Dick, Leviathan was an extinct species of sperm whale that existed some 13 million years ago. Leviathans were around 15 meters long, around the same size as their modern cousins. Unlike sperm whales though, Leviathans were apex predators, hunting sharks, seals, other whales, and large marine vertebrates. In some respects, they were the killer whales of their day, only much bigger and more likely to hunt alone. Besides its size, what truly made Leviathan terrifying was their teeth. These teeth have been found worldwide, from Australia to Chile, South Africa, and the United States, suggesting that no waters were safe from this sea monster. Interestingly, for a long time, Leviathan shared the seas and many of the same prey as Megalodon, potentially bringing the two apex predators into conflict. As for who would win, it's likely not a certain outcome, with both becoming victim to the other. But in a bite-for-bite competition, experts believe a Leviathan's endurance, technique, and biting power would have given it the upper hand. Liopleurodon was a large carnivorous marine reptile belonging to the Pliosaur family that lived between the Middle and Late Jurassic periods some 160 million years ago. In terms of reputation alone, they are an obvious pick when it comes to any discussion regarding ancient sea monsters. Unfortunately, Liopleurodon's size is frequently exaggerated by television documentaries and the internet alike, with some going so far as to claim they were over 24 meters long. However, more realistic estimates put these animals in the region of 5 to 9 meters long. But make no mistake, Liopleurodons were still fearsome apex predators that ruled the now European waters where they resided. Not only did these animals have massive mouths full of razor-sharp teeth, but they boasted an incredible bite force and immense speed. Furthermore, they likely had an incredible sense of smell, meaning no prey was safe from being ambushed by this monster of the ocean. Often described as resembling giant fanged harpoons and currently the largest known bony fish of the Cretaceous period, Xiphanctonus was a voracious predator that existed 41 to 33 million years ago. Growing to lengths of around 4 to 6 meters, these bony fish don't quite scale to the size of some of the other animals on this list. However, they are still pretty massive, with no sane person wanting to be anywhere near a living specimen. After all, even the fossils they left behind are unnerving to look at, especially when you see its fang-like teeth. Another thing to know about Xiphanctonus is that it was incredibly fast, capable of reaching speeds of over 60 kilometers an hour. Furthermore, their torpedo-like shape suggests they may have been capable of even leaping out of the water. Tylosaurus was a massive reptile that lived during the Cretaceous period, around 90 million years ago, and dominated the shallow inland seas once found in what would today be known as North America. Fossil evidence suggests these animals were typically 9 to 12 meters in size. However, some experts estimate that they may have grown even larger with enough available food. When it comes to Tylosaurus' diet, almost everything was on the menu. These animals ate fish, sharks, other marine reptiles, and even some flightless birds. Tylosaurus had a unique way of catching its prey too. Rather than relying on the biting power like other sea predators, evidence suggests that Tylosaurus used its huge and powerful skull to ram into its victims before tearing them to pieces. The name Basilosaurus probably makes you think of a species of reptile or dinosaur. But while its name translates to king lizard, Basilosaurus was a prehistoric species of whale that existed around 40 million years ago. Nonetheless, you can forgive experts for originally thinking otherwise. That is because Basilosaurus is like no whale you've ever laid your eyes on. Shaped like a giant slithering eel with a long snout full of sharp teeth, the Basilosaurus was pure nightmare fuel, even before you consider its massive size. These sleek creatures grew to around 20 meters long and weighed somewhere in the region of 5 to 10 tons. Basilosaurus were not just lumbering scavengers either, but highly active and capable hunters. Dunkleosteus is an extinct form of arthrodire fish that lived during the late Devonian period around 360 million years ago. Featuring a bony armoured skull attached to a skeleton made of cartilage, Dunkleosteus is often compared to an underwater tank, and with good reason. Not only was this animal well armoured, but it was also well armed, thanks to its blade-like jaw that could snap shut at over 8,000 pounds of force. As a result, Dunkleosteus is a strong contender for having the strongest biting power of any extinct or living fish. In terms of size, there have been multiple estimates, ranging from 5 to 10 meters. However, most evidence points to it being comparatively short and chunky as an animal. Nonetheless, a Dunkleosteus had very few things to fear, apart from possibly other Dunkleosteus, as fossil evidence shows it may have also been a cannibal. If there is one saving grace about being eaten by one of these real-life monsters, it would probably be quick. After all, such animals were so big that they would have made short work of humans. On the other hand, you have to imagine that an attack from a bizarre shark-like fish known as Helicoprion would be more akin to being put through a meat grinder. Helicoprion translates to spiral jaw, and it is hard not to see how it got its name. That is because Helicoprion's most identifiable and alarming trait is its tooth whorls, spirally arranged clusters of teeth that sit in its lower jaw. Scientists believe that these teeth all had individual functions. Some teeth hooked prey, while others cut them apart or pushed them into Helicoprion's oral cavity, allowing Helicoprion to consume all sorts of animals. Mosasaurus is often mistaken for being some form of dinosaur, but were reptiles from the Mosasaur family, the same family as Tylosaurus, and they were also more closely related to snakes and lizards. In terms of size, these things were massive, often growing to be around 15 meters long. But what truly made Mosasaurus a fearsome predator was its long, double-hinged jaw and its sharp spiked teeth that allowed it to hold onto and tear up its prey. This animal, which existed around 82 to 66 million years ago, generally preferred shallow waters. However, its shape suggests it would have been an excellent open water swimmer as well. In any case, it could eat pretty much whatever it chose to, and it was not fussy, making meals out of sharks, birds, other mosasaurs, and fish. Shastosauruses are an extinct genus of ichthyosaurs that lived through the Middle and Late Triassic periods, around 200 million years ago. Unfortunately, we do not yet know a huge amount about these marine reptiles, but we do know that some of them grew to be massive, especially Shastosaurus siconensis, which may have measured up to 22 meters long. Despite its size, its sleek body, powerful tail, and strong flippers allowed this animal to move effortlessly through the water. Furthermore, fossil evidence suggests that it was an ambush predator that used its incredible agility to spring on its victims. As if this animal was not overpowered enough, it could also dive to deep depths where its scale-like skin protected it from the harsh elements of the ocean. Another animal we are only beginning to learn about is Pliosaurus funke, also commonly known as Predator X. What we do know is that it was both a strange-looking and fearsome monster of an animal that likely measured over 15 meters long and weighed around 55 tons. We also know that it was a type of pliosaur, hence the name, belonging to the same family as Liopleurodons and Kronosaurs, that probably lived around 147 million years ago. What really makes Pliosaurus funke unlike anything else in oceanic history is its massive skull. Its skull was not only larger than that of a T-Rex, but it also had a bite force 4 times more powerful. This beast was also short-necked and 4-paddled, giving it an alien-like look. As we surface from our exploration of the ancient seas, the sheer magnitude and mystery of the giants that once dominated these waters still linger in my mind. These colossal creatures were not just rulers of their domains, but key players in the complex web of prehistoric life. Their immense size and power were more than just evolutionary quirks. They were adaptations honed by millions of years of survival in a world far different from our own. Their stories remind us that the seas were once inhabited by beings that stretched the limits of imagination. Creatures so vast that their very existence challenges our understanding of life and evolution. Each of these giants, with their unique adaptations and roles in ancient ecosystems, leaves a legacy etched in the fossil record, a testament to the ever-changing tapestry of life on Earth. The Carboniferous period, spanning from approximately 359 to 299 million years ago, was a pivotal time in Earth's history. It was a period characterized by the emergence of vast forests, the evolution of diverse plant and animal life, and the eventual formation of coal deposits. The Carboniferous period was part of the Paleozoic era and followed the Devonian period. It was marked by significant geological events, including the assembly of the supercontinent Pangaea and the formation of the Appalachian Mountains in North America and the Ural Mountains in Europe. These tectonic activities played a crucial role in shaping the landscape and influencing the distribution of flora and fauna during this period. One of the defining characteristics of the Carboniferous period was the proliferation of terrestrial vegetation. Dense forests, dominated by tree-like plants such as ferns, horsetails, and lycophytes, covered vast areas, providing a habitat for a diverse range of organisms. These ancient forests were unlike any seen today, with trees reaching staggering heights of up to 30 meters. The dominance of plant life in the Carboniferous period had a profound impact on the evolution of animals. Amphibians, including the iconic labyrinthodonts, thrived in the swampy environments, adapting to both land and water. The first reptiles emerged during this period, marking a pivotal step towards the evolution of terrestrial vertebrates. In this video, we will be focusing on the first creatures to call this land their home, the arthropods. In the realm of prehistoric insects, few creatures capture the imagination as much as the griffin flies. These ancient insects, also known as griffin flies or meganeurids, were among the largest insects to have ever existed. Griffin flies belong to the extinct order Deinosuchus, which flourished during the Carboniferous period. They were close relatives of modern-day dragonflies and damselflies, but with remarkable difference in size. These insects had wingspans ranging from 70 to 75 centimeters, making them some of the largest ever flying insects. Griffin flies possessed a robust and elongated body, with large compound eyes, strong mandibles, and a pair of powerful wings. Their wings had a network of veins that provided structural support, enabling them to maneuver swiftly through the air. Fossils of griffin flies have been found in various parts of the world, including Europe, North America, and Australia, offering valuable insights into their anatomy and behaviour. Griffin flies were apex predators of their time, occupying a significant ecological niche in ancient ecosystems. They were adept hunters, preying upon smaller insects and even small vertebrates. Their strong jaws and sharp mandibles allowed them to capture and consume prey efficiently. Fossil evidence suggests that griffin flies were likely opportunistic predators, occupying a range of habitats such as wetlands, forests, and riversides. In addition to their predatory nature, griffin flies played an essential role in pollination. As they flew from flower to flower in search of food, they inadvertently transferred pollen, aiding in the reproduction of various plant species. This mutually beneficial relationship between griffin flies and plants highlights the intricate web of ecological interactions that existed during the Carboniferous period. The presence of griffin flies in the fossil record provides valuable insights into the environmental conditions of the Carboniferous period. The prevalence of large insects, including griffin flies, is thought to be linked with high oxygen levels in the atmosphere during this time. The oxygen-rich environment likely facilitated the evolution of giant insects, as it allowed more efficient respiration and greater size potential. Griffin flies, with their enormous size and predatory prowess, hold a unique place in Earth's ancient ecosystems. These ancient insects, with their impressive wingspans and ecological significance, provide us with a glimpse into the diverse and dynamic world of the Carboniferous period. By studying griffin flies and the environments they inhabited, scientists can gain a deeper understanding of the interplay between evolutionary processes, ecological relationships, and the ever-changing nature of our planet. In the annals of prehistoric creatures, few evoke a sense of awe and wonder like Arthropods. These colossal arthropods are among the largest land-dwelling invertebrates to have ever existed. Arthropods belong to the extinct group of arthropods known as Arthropodida. These creatures were distant relatives of modern millipedes and centipedes, but far surpassed them in size. Arthropods could reach incredible lengths of up to 2.6 meters, with some specimens potentially growing even larger. Their elongated segmented bodies were covered with protective exoskeleton, and they had numerous pairs of legs, allowing for efficient locomotion. Arthropods were herbivores, primarily feeding on the abundant plant life that thrived during the Carboniferous period. Their diet consisted of ferns, horsetails, and other vegetation found in the sprawling forests of the time. Given their immense size, it is likely Arthropods played a crucial role in shaping the vegetation patterns of ancient ecosystems. Their feeding habits may have influenced the distribution of growth of certain plant species, contributing to the diversity and structure of the Carboniferous forests. Like the griffin fly, the oxygen-rich environment allowed for more efficient respiration, enabling the evolution of large-bodied animals like Arthropods. Additionally, the warm and humid climate of the Carboniferous period provided the ideal conditions for their growth and survival. Despite their dominance during the Carboniferous period, Arthropods eventually became extinct. The exact reasons for the demise remain uncertain, but changes in climate, habitat, and the emergence of new predators could have played a role. As the Earth transitioned into the Permian period, the decline of the Carboniferous forests may have led to a decrease in suitable food sources for Arthropods, ultimately contributing to their extinction. Megarachne cervini, a fossilized arachnid discovered in Argentina, has long been the subject of scientific debate and intrigue. Initially believed to be a massive spider, it was later reclassified as a sea scorpion. However, recent re-evaluation of the evidence has led to renewed discussions and controversy surrounding its true identity. The fossils of Megarachne cervini reveal an arachnid-like creature with a body length estimated to be around 33 centimeters, making it one of the largest arthropods ever discovered. Initially, it was classified as a spider due to its spider-like features, such as elongated legs and a segmented body. However, subsequent studies suggested that it belonged to an extinct order of sea scorpions known as Eurypterids. This reclassification is based on similarities between Megarachne and other Eurypterid species, including the presence of pincers and the overall body structure. The ongoing debate surrounding the classification of Megarachne cervini holds significant implications for our understanding of arachnid evolution. If it is indeed a giant spider, it would represent an astonishing example of early spider evolution and highlight the incredible diversity of arachnids during the Paleozoic era. On the other hand, if it is a sea scorpion, it would provide valuable insights into the adaptations and ecological roles of these ancient marine arthropods. Further research and analysis are necessary to resolve this classification conundrum and shed light on the evolutionary significance of Megarachne cervini. If Megarachne cervini is indeed a spider, its immense size raises intriguing questions about its ecological role and behaviour. It would have been a formidable predator, potentially feeding on a range of small vertebrates and invertebrates. Its large size may have offered advantages in capturing and subduing prey, as well as a potential protection from predators. However, if it is a sea scorpion, its ecological role would have been very different, likely occupying a marine habitat and feeding on a variety of aquatic organisms. The ongoing advancements in paleontological techniques such as high-resolution imaging and comparisons with related species may provide further insights into its true identity. Further research and discoveries may help resolve this long-standing controversy and provide a clearer understanding of Megarachne cervini's evolutionary significance. Regardless of its true identity, Megarachne cervini serves as a reminder of the incredible diversity and evolutionary adaptations of arachnids throughout the geological history. Continued research and scientific discourse will undoubtedly shed more light on this intriguing creature, further enhancing our understanding of the ancient world it once inhabited. Pulmonoscorpius, a remarkable arachnid that inhabited the Earth during the Silurian period, approximately 437 to 418 million years ago, offers a fascinating window into the prehistoric world of scorpions. Pulmonoscorpius was a member of the extinct order of scorpions known as Eurypterids, commonly referred to as sea scorpions. These arachnids were distant relatives of modern scorpions, but had distinct adaptations for their marine habitats. Pulmonoscorpius had a long and segmented body, with a pair of pincers, a tail equipped with a stinger, and 6 pairs of walking legs. Its exoskeleton provided protection and support, and its eyes were well developed for detecting prey and predators. Although Pulmonoscorpius is often associated with marine environments due to its Eurypterid classification, recent studies suggest that it may have been more adapted to freshwater habitats. It also would have left the water for short periods in search of food. These scorpions likely lived in shallow waters, estuaries, or near the shorelines of ancient rivers and lakes. Pulmonoscorpius was an active predator, using its pincers to capture and immobilize prey before delivering a venomous sting. Fossil evidence suggests that it fed on a variety of small aquatic organisms, including fish, arthropods, and other invertebrates. Pulmonoscorpius played a significant role in the evolutionary history of scorpions. Its existence provides valuable insights into the transition of scorpions from marine to terrestrial habitats. While Pulmonoscorpius was primarily a freshwater inhabitant, it would have had the ability to survive on land for periods and represents an important step in the evolutionary trajectory that eventually led to the emergence of true terrestrial scorpions. The presence of Pulmonoscorpius in the fossil records offers clues about paleo-environmental conditions of the Silurian period. During this time, the Earth experienced significant changes, including the colonization of land by plants and the diversification of marine life. Pulmonoscorpius inhabited an ecosystem characterized by shallow freshwater bodies, where it interacted with a variety of these organisms. Trigonotherbids were an extinct order of arachnids that thrived during the Paleozoic era from approximately 419 to 299 million years ago. They offer a fascinating glimpse into the early evolution of spiders and other arachnids. Trigonotherbids were among the first land-dwelling arachnids, making them significant in the evolutionary history of spiders. Their body structure resembled a mix of a spider and a scorpion, with a distinct head and thorax, segmented abdomen, and multiple pairs of legs. Trigonotherbids had 2 pairs of long, jointed appendages on the front, which likely functioned as sensory organs. Fossil evidence suggests that they varied in size, with some species reaching lengths of over 10 centimeters. Trigonotherbids were primarily terrestrial arachnids, inhabiting a range of environments including forests, deserts, and wetlands during the Paleozoic era. They likely occupied various ecological niches, engaging in a variety of feeding strategies. Some Trigonotherbids were likely predators, feeding on small invertebrates, while others may have been scavengers or detritivores, consuming decaying organic matter. Their role in ancient ecosystems would have been similar to that of modern-day spiders, contributing to the regulation of insect populations and nutrient recycling. Trigonotherbids played a crucial role in the early evolution of arachnids and served as a bridge between marine ancestors of spiders and the diverse arachnid fauna that emerged in terrestrial environments. Their unique anatomical features, such as the presence of antennae-like appendages and the structure of the respiratory system, provide valuable insights into the development of key adaptations seen in modern arachnids. Trigonauterids represent an important transitional group that contributed to the diversification and success of terrestrial arachnids. The Earth during this time was a completely alien world compared with today. The radically different atmosphere and continent layout laid the ground for amazing creatures as mentioned in this video. Even after all this time though, the animals mentioned all still survive in some form today, which truly demonstrates the impressive adaptability of Mother Nature and life as a whole. One can only wonder what form life will take 300 million years from now. Earth, 65 million years ago. The world is inhabited by the dominant fauna, the dinosaurs. It has been this way for 165 million years. There were other dynasties before, but none came close to the dinosaurs' reign. In all likelihood, this would have continued, but for a massive calamity. This calamity was an asteroid, which struck and created the Chicxulub crater located in the Gulf of Mexico today. In the geological blink of an eye, all non-avian dinosaurs went extinct, leaving a massive gap in the Earth's ecosystem which would need to be filled. This would usher in the Paleocene epoch, and in the millions of years following this world-changing event, many different species vied to become the dominant successor to the dinosaurs, resulting in an evolutionary arms race which created some wild and unorthodox species, some of which rivaled the scale of the dinosaurs that came before. Hey everyone, today we'll be looking at 5 giant animals involved in this arms race. We will look at how they lived and how they eventually died out. Andrewsarchus is an extinct mammal that lived in the Inner Mongolia region of China about 56 to 33.9 million years ago. It was a large predatory animal closely related to present-day hippos and aquatic mammals such as whales. Not much is known about this mammal because only a single large skull fossil has been found. It is estimated to have been as tall as a horse. Because we have very little remains of this creature, we have to estimate the size of the animal using only its skull. If these estimations are indeed correct, it would hold the title of largest ever mammalian land carnivore. Andrewsarchus was about 2 meters tall and 5 meters long. It weighed about 1,000 kilograms. This is quite massive, considering the fact that the modern polar bear weighs roughly 500 kilograms on average. Andrewsarchus had a massive skull that was nearly as long as 85 centimeters. It also had a long snout with sharp, large and flat teeth that must have been used to crush bones. It had 1 canine, 3 incisors, 4 premolars and 3 molars on each side of the jaw. This dentition is one of many similarities between this animal and the Entelodonts, which were pig-like artiodactyls that lived during the Eocene. Like other ungulates, they had hooves on their feet. Since the discovery of Andrewsarchus' skull, there have been arguments about its diet. The most common theory is that this animal was a carnivore. Most researchers think Andrewsarchus was a scavenger and a hunter. But they probably had a varied diet that would have included any prey that was available. Since its fossil was found in a prehistoric coastal area, they probably fed on sea life such as turtles. They also may have scavenged other predators' kills using its size to scare them off. The longevity of Andrewsarchus' species is also very impressive, as it persisted for around 25 million years. It is unknown how they finally went extinct, but it is theorized it may have been due to changing climatic conditions. Basilosaurus, a name which translates to king lizard, was a prehistoric whale that dominated the sea. Weighing up to 10 tons, the Basilosaurus lived after the dinosaurs had gone extinct, when mammals started to develop in greater numbers. This monster of the sea was about 17 meters long. They were roughly the length of modern humpback whales. Basilosaurus whales were sleeker than many modern whales and could almost be mistaken for extremely large eels. They had small limbs on the back of their body, likely to help with mating. Basilosaurus also used teeth to eat food rather than the baleen that many modern whales of their size would use today. While they were quite large, these whales were still quite primitive and had small brains. Scientists believe that this shows that they were incapable of herd movement or even echolocation. Basilosaurus' diet consisted of prey both in and out of the water. Shark and a primitive type of elephant's remains have been found inside the fossils of this animal. This indicates that Basilosaurus would prey on other predators or would also happily ambush an unsuspecting land animal that gets too close to the water, much like what orcas do today. Because of their large size for the time and the type of teeth that they had, it is likely that these ancient whales chewed meat and fish for most of their meals. The most recent evidence of the Basilosaurus dates to around 33.9 million years ago. A large-scale event likely impacted the Basilosaurus, like many other species that went extinct during that time period. This extinction event may have been caused by something like a meteor, based on evidence of impact zones around that time. Other hypotheses point to the gradual cooling that changed the available food sources for all animals, which eventually led to the extinction of many species, including Basilosaurus. Kelenken was a huge terror bird, which lived well after the dinosaurs went extinct. It was named after a winged deity in local South American mythology. It had the largest skull of any known bird, with a length of 71 centimeters, which was mostly his beak of 46 centimeters. Along with nearly a complete skull fossil, a 45 centimeter tarsometatarsus was discovered. The tarsometatarsus is a bone in the leg of flightless birds, such as ostriches. Although a full skeleton has not been discovered, these two pivotal pieces indicate that Kelenken might well have been the largest of the terror birds. This flightless bird was located throughout South America, as with all other terror birds. The manner in which Kelenken hunted and captured prey is unknown. Being fast-moving, the animal likely pursued and crushed prey under their massive beaks. It is likely they hunted animals such as rodents, deer, llama, and armadillos. Another theory is that Kelenken picked prey up in its jaws and vigorously shook them as to break its spine. If this is true, this is truly an animal that lives up to the terror bird moniker. Kelenken may also have been a scavenger that drove predators from carcasses due to their sheer size. It is believed that the terror birds became extinct when the huge carnivore mammals such as the saber-toothed tigers and the ancestors of wolves migrated from North America to South America, outcompeting the birds and preying on their eggs, which would hasten their demise. Of all the animals on this list, Kelenken is probably the one I'm most grateful I would never want to come across today. Now we move on to a much less terrifying bird. Kumimanu biche translates to monster bird in the Maori language. This is an extinct genus of giant penguin, which lived around 60 to 56 million years ago. The type and only species is Kumimanu biche, which arose after the extinction of the non-avian dinosaurs. Fossils were found in New Zealand, and the discovery was announced in December 2017. This was a long-beaked penguin that stood 5 feet 7 inches tall and weighed about 100 kgs, making it around the average size of a man. This alone makes it the largest penguin ever discovered. Kumimanu wasn't just exceptionally big, it also ranks among the oldest penguin fossils yet found. Both its age and its size makes Kumimanu important to understanding the astonishing transformation that turned a lineage of flying birds into flightless swimmers. Kumimanu lived in New Zealand, which was subtropical during much of the Paleocene era. There were many organisms in these waters, including sea turtles and various fishes. Kumimanu were likely very similar to modern-day penguins in the way that they lived. However, these monster birds were likely able to consume larger prey due to their sheer size. It is not known how they went extinct, but climate change and a lack of sufficient prey have been theorized as to why they eventually died out. Epicyon was a large species of dog that lived from the early Miocene to the late Miocene. This was around 5 to 20 million years ago. It belonged to the subfamily Borophaginae, or bone-crushing dogs, and weighed about 130 kg. Fossils of the species of Epicyon were found in several regions all over North America. The word Epicyon means more than a dog, a very apt name for one of the largest canines ever discovered. Epicyon had the body length of about 3 meters and a shoulder height of just under a meter. Similar to modern-day dogs, the animal had grinding teeth, which gives scientists the impression that Epicyon was omnivorous. Based on a fossilized specimen and their strong jaw muscles, it is concluded that their digestive system was probably strong enough to dissolve the bones of other animals, a unique characteristic of this dog. Alongside their grinding teeth, they also had canine teeth in the front of their upper and lower jaws. The overall distribution of their teeth was distinct compared to other canines of the era, and showed that while the animal was omnivorous, its diet was largely based, more than 70%, on large herbivorous animals, making it a hypercarnivore. Their teeth also showed signs of heavy dental erosion, probably from crushing the bones of their prey. The animal had a small clavicle and flexible limbs. Based on their legs and their body proportions of the fossils, they were probably unable to run very long distances. Instead, they would have ran in short bursts of speed. It is thought that these dogs went extinct due to the arrival of the big cats, Epicyon were generally slow animals, and on the contrary, one of the species of big cats, the saber-toothed cats, were much faster hunters that preyed on the same animals as Epicyon did. So, it's likely Epicyon's prey was hunted by these big cats. This eventually led to their slow demise from lack of food, as the animal was not getting a proper diet, which would in turn affect their ability to reproduce. This would ultimately lead to their extinction. The impact of the asteroid that wiped out the dinosaurs was a disaster for many of the species at the time. However, it opened up the opportunity for life to adapt and grow in new ways, and was the catalyst for mammals to take over as the dominant species, eventually leading to all of us existing today. A mammoth cub is confused. She has gotten separated from her mother. She wanders aimlessly through the Siberian tundra before an unfortunate accident found her submerged under a deep mass of mud. She did not resurface. She was born on a late spring day in Siberia, about 42,000 years ago, and survived for just 35 days before her accident. Her story is a sad one, but the same frosty mud that led to her demise also contained the right combination of acid-forming bacteria and permafrost that allowed the baby mammoth's body to become one of the best preserved mammoth specimens in the world. Mammoths are arguably the most well-known of the Ice Age megafauna. They have been ingrained in human consciousness as we have lived alongside them for millennia. We hunted and revered them as they provided sustenance, clothing, and even shelter for our prehistoric ancestors. Another reason is that their habitat was ideal for the preservation of carcasses. This has led to some amazing finds, such as Lyuba, and has captured the imagination of scientists and the public alike. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in. The Ice Age, also known as the Pleistocene era, is not very far into the past, but in terms of animals, there was a massive diversity of megafauna in comparison to today. Today's video will focus on 5 Ice Age megafauna that may not get as much of the spotlight as the woolly mammoth, but I still feel they deserve some recognition. If you learned something new, or if you have any further insights, please let me know in the comments, as I'm always interested to learn more too. Let's get started. Number 1. Megalania. Today the largest lizard on Earth is the Komodo dragon. It is an imposing apex predator with a venomous bite, certainly not something to be messed with. Megalania could be described as a Komodo dragon on steroids. While the Komodo dragon weighs around 70 kgs, Megalania weighed between 97 and 1,940 kgs. These estimates vary widely due to the fact that our fossil findings have been very sporadic and fragmentary. If we just take the middle estimate though, these massive creatures would weigh at least 10 times as much as their modern cousins, a frightening prospect. These monsters were native to the continent of Australia. It is also speculated that they may have had venomous glands in their mouth. The venom in these lizards would have been a hemotoxin. This venom would act as an anticoagulant and would greatly increase the bleeding the prey received from its wounds. Remains of Megalania have often been found with fossils of large animals like kangaroos, suggesting that they would have specialized in taking large prey. What's also interesting is that the youngest fossils found of this creature date back to around 50,000 BC, which would mean they would have spent quite some time living alongside our ancestors who arrived on the continent at around 65,000 BC. This is very telling, and it may not be a coincidence that Megalania went extinct relatively shortly after our arrival. After thousands of years of competing with us, it would have shared our prey animals and even would have been hunted by these early human settlers. They would have had no natural defenses against us, as humans were basically an invasive species. Slowly but surely, the human population increased and the Megalania population dwindled. Other factors such as climate change are also proposed as to their demise, and it could be a combination of many things. Still, it would have been awesome to see Megalania in the flesh, at a safe distance of course. Number 2. Giant Bison. Bison latifrons, also known as the giant bison or long-horned bison, is an extinct species of bison that lived in North America during the Pleistocene epoch, ranging from Alaska to Mexico. It was the largest and heaviest bovid to ever live in North America. Based on leg bones, the mass of the giant bison is estimated to be 25 to 50% larger than that of the modern bison. It evolved from another type of bison named Bison priscus. B. priscus originated in Eurasia and crossed the Bering Land Bridge between 240,000 and 220,000 years ago. The horns of the giant bison measured as great as 213 centimeters from tip to tip, compared with an average of 78 centimeters in modern bison. As you can see, these horns are monstrously large. This animal certainly lives up to its name. It thrived in North America for around 200,000 years, grazing in biomes from grassy plains to tundra. It became extinct some 20 to 30,000 years ago, at the beginning of the last glacial maximum. This is not the end of the species, however, as a population of giant bison evolved into a smaller bison named Bison antiquus, which made it better adapted to flourish in the open plains. B. antiquus in turn evolved into yet the smaller modern American bison some 10,000 years ago. Decreasing in size caused bison to continue increasing in population in North America until the Europeans arrived. Still, it's not often that one of these Ice Age beasts adapted and survived to the modern day, which is why the giant bison definitely deserves a place on this list. Number 3. Paleoloxodon pneumaticus. As I mentioned earlier, I would not be speaking about mammoths or any other very well-known Ice Age giants on this list. Mammoths were not the only extinct cousins of elephants to roam during this time, however, and Paleoloxodon most definitely deserves a mention. Paleoloxodon is an extinct genus that contains the various species of straight-tusked elephants. The genus originated in Africa during the Pliocene era and expanded into Eurasia during the Pleistocene era. Paleoloxodon pneumaticus, or the Asian straight-tusked elephant, was a species of prehistoric elephant that ranged throughout Pleistocene Asia, from India to Japan. Growing up, I had always been under the impression that Indrocaterium, a cousin of the modern-day rhino, was the largest land mammal to ever live. While this still may be the case, the topic is debated as to whether it might have been Paleoloxodon pneumaticus. Its behaviour would have been very similar to modern Asian elephants, just on a larger scale. Its bulk would ensure that a healthy adult animal would be under no threat from the apex predators of the time, although they may have been hunted by some hominid species sharing their territory. It's theorized that these enormous animals would simply flatten patches of jungle in order to easily reach its preferred vegetation. The last of the large Paleoloxodons survived up until around 30,000 years ago, with the Japanese population possibly living a little bit longer. The Paleoloxodon genus did not die out completely, however. In an interesting twist of fate, a population made their way to the island of Sicily in the Mediterranean Sea. There they experienced what is known as island dwarfism, and evolved into the Sicilian dwarf elephant, the smallest known elephant discovered. They survived until around 3,000 years ago, and it is surmised that humans arriving on the island hunted them to extinction. I find it fascinating that Paleoloxodons were both the largest and smallest elephants and possibly the largest mammals to ever walk the earth. Number 4. Glyptodon. The Americas during the Pleistocene were a hotbed for Ice Age megafauna. Besides the more well-known direwolf or short-faced bear, there were many plant eaters who would not look out of place among the dinosaurs. The Glyptodon was one such creature. It was roughly the same size and weight as a Volkswagen Beetle, around 800 to 840 kgs. Glyptodons originated in South America, but also migrated north as far as Central America. The environments they lived in ranged from forested areas to warm and humid jungle, while some even became more accustomed to open, cold areas where grasslands were the most common. From looking at it, its appearance is akin to a giant armadillo with a bony club of a tail. You could definitely make a case for convergent evolution here though, as I can see an uncanny resemblance to the Ankylosaur, which was a dinosaur that lived in the late Cretaceous. Both have an armoured shell and also a bony club-like tail, which they use for both protection and competition with their own species. Glyptodons are believed to have been very territorial. It often would fight with its own species. Zoologists presume that since the tail of Glyptodon is very flexible and had rings of bony plates, it was used as a weapon in these fights. Experiments have shown that the tail would have been strong enough to crack its rival's shell. This animal shared its habitat with some other amazing and deadly animals, but was clearly able to defend itself and thrived within its niche. Its diet comprised of mainly low-hanging, tough vegetation. The lower jaws were very deep and helped support massive chewing muscles to help chew through coarse, fibrous plants. The species survived up until around 10,000 BC. Some evidence suggests that humans drove glyptodons to extinction. This unfortunately seems to be a running theme of this list. Hunters may have used their shells for shelters in rough weather and used their meat for sustenance. Number 5. The cave hyena. I would like to end this list with an animal which lived a little closer to home, at least for me anyway. The cave hyena, also known as the Ice Age spotted hyena, had a territory spanning from the Iberian Peninsula to eastern Siberia. The European cave hyena was much larger than modern hyenas, having been estimated to weigh 102 kg, which is about twice the weight of its African cousin. In late Pleistocene specimens from Europe, the cave hyena's metacarpals and metatarsals are shorter and thicker, while the humerus and femur are longer. This indicates adaptations to a different habitat from that of the modern spotted hyena, as Europe was much colder and more mountainous. As with the African species, female cave hyenas were larger than their male counterparts. Paleolithic rock art depicting the cave hyena shows that it had a pelt that was also spotted, just like modern hyenas. Humans at this time frequented caves a lot for shelter from the harsh European weather, and most certainly would have came into contact with these beasts. This carved sculpture that was created around 20,000 years ago depicts a cave hyena in amazing detail, and must have taken someone months to create. This also could indicate a religious aspect to a relationship with these animals. Many human and animal remains have been found with evidence of cave hyena tooth marks on the bones. It preyed on large mammals, primarily wild horses, steppe bison, and woolly rhinoceros, and would have hunted in a pack similar to that of hyenas today. The cause of the cave hyena's extinction is not fully understood, though it could have been due to a combination of factors, including climate change and competition with other predators. Whether it be Europe, America, or anywhere else besides Antarctica really, before the Younger Dryas mass extinction event, the world looked a very different place. Up until approximately 10,000 BC, completely different ecosystems existed, with flora and fauna that does not exist today. That such an event could change our environment so swiftly has always fascinated me. How Mother Nature can recover and build new food webs and eventually lead to the ecosystems that we're familiar with today is nothing short of miraculous. The striking difference between the animals we now share the planet with and the ones that unfortunately could not survive past this event was their size. What we now refer to as Ice Age megafauna most of the time dwarfs their modern cousins. Of course, their size may have been their undoing. I have made a previous video concerning the lesser known of these giant animals, and today I would like to give some more a well-deserved spotlight. So without further ado, let's get into it. This giant Irish deer is believed to have roamed the lowlands of central and eastern Ireland. Adult pre-rut stags weighed over 1 ton, whereas the hinds weighed about half a ton. The stags and hinds display similar levels of sexual dimorphism, which means the difference between adult males and females in terms of overall body size, as their direct living relatives, the fallow deer, do. Both the stags and the hinds stood at about 1.8 meters at the shoulders, but only the stags bore antlers, with a width of up to 4 meters and a combined weight of up to 45 kilograms. These are the largest antlers known to have existed on any Old World deer species. They were palm-like antlers, similar to those of the fallow deer, its nearest living direct descendant. This giant Irish deer was present in Ireland before and after the last Great Ice Age. However, as the climate warmed after the retreat of the last big glaciers of the last Ice Age, the vegetation in Ireland consisted of phases of grasses and sorrels, juniper and least willow about 13 to 12,500 years before present. This vegetation dominated the grasslands, heath and open country of Ireland, as evidenced from the pollen records. This was prime grazing food for the giant deer, but there was rapid cooling which occurred at about 12 to 11,000 years before present, which led to a re-advancement of the glaciers in certain areas of Ireland. The change to Arctic-like climatic conditions led to significant and rapid change in the vegetation, resulting in open tundra-like conditions. The Irish elk could not adapt at the same pace of the changing vegetation and could not migrate from Ireland elsewhere, as Ireland was an island. Thus, localised extinction occurred in Ireland, with the majority of the giant deer fossil bones dating to 12,150 to 10,600 years before present. After a gestation or pregnancy length of approximately 36 weeks, adult hinds would have separated from the main female herd to give birth, perhaps in the small copses of forests that were found in Ireland, and this habitat would have provided protection and security for both the mother and the offspring. The calf would have weighed approximately 29 kg, just a little bit smaller than an adult female Sika deer. Wolves, which were present in Ireland during this time, would have posed a threat to the young calf and solitary female, akin to present-day adult solitary female moose and their calves. Timing and location of calving sites would have been very important against such predation. There is no direct evidence that the giant deer gave birth to twin calves, although it's not impossible. For example, of comparable size, female moose in excellent physical condition will give birth to twins, each weighing approximately 15 kg. Even though they are known as Irish elk, they are not elk, and also fossils have been found in such countries as France, Germany, Austria, Hungary, Britain, Scandinavia, Italy, and even Central Asia. However, the best collection of fossils can be found at the National Museum of Ireland, where there are 10 complete deer skeletons and over 400 partial remains, which includes 6 females. There have been many fossil finds throughout Ireland, with the most famous being Ballybeta Bog, Glencullen, County Dublin, where over 100 deer skeletons were found. Other sites are Howth, County Dublin, and Lochgur, County Limerick. These fossils have been mainly found in peat bogs and in old lakes, with some older fossils even being found in caves. Argentivus, also known as the giant teratorn, was a species of giant predatory bird that lived during the late Miocene epoch in South America. It is considered one of the largest flying birds to have ever existed, with a wingspan estimated to be around 6 to 8 meters. The name Argentivus is derived from the Latin words argentum, meaning silver, and avis, meaning bird, referring to its impressive size and stature. Argentivus belonged to the family Pterotondidae, a group of large, long-winged birds of prey that were known for their soaring capabilities. These birds were adapted for gliding over long distances, using air currents and thermals to stay aloft with minimal effort. Argentivus likely relied on its large wingspan and efficient gliding capabilities to cover vast distances in search of prey. Argentivus's territories measured probably more than 500 square kilometers, which the birds screened for food, possibly utilizing a generally north-south direction to avoid being slowed by adverse winds. This species seems less aerodynamically suited for predation than its relatives. It probably preferred to scavenge for carrion, and it's possible that it habitually chased carnivores such as Thylacosimilidae from their kills. The largest land predators in Miocene South America were the giant ground-dwelling terror birds. Terror birds were probably the most formidable rivals that Argentivus faced, with the largest species weighing about 3 times as much as the teratorn. Unlike extant condors and vultures, teratorns generally had long, eagle-like beaks and were believed to have been active predators. This is seemingly true as well of Argentivus, but other teratorns were likely far less ponderous, considering the substantial size differences between them and Argentivus. Argentivus may have used its wings and size to intimidate mammals and other smaller creatures from their kills. Argentivus may have also ambushed some small live prey, such as large rodents, small armadillos, and the young of large animals such as ground sloths. The species would have required about 2.5 to 5 kg of meat each day. When hunting actively, Argentivus would have probably swooped down from high above onto their prey, which they usually would have been able to grab the prey by its bill, kill, and swallow without even landing. However, they may have too lain in wait from a ground position, which would render them likely grounded until heavy winds allowed them to fly. Skull structure suggests that it ate most of its prey whole rather than tearing off pieces of its flesh. In comparison with extant birds, it suggests it laid 1 or 2 eggs, with the mass somewhat over 1 kg. By comparison, this is smaller than an ostrich egg. It would have laid these eggs around once every 2 years. Climate considerations make it likely that the birds incubated over the winter, mates exchanging duties of incubating and procuring food every few days, and the young were independent after some 16 months, but not fully mature until aged about 12 years. Mortality must have been very low. To maintain a viable population, less than about 2% of birds may have died each year. Because of its large size and ability to fly, Argentivus suffered hardly any predation, and mortality was mainly from old age or disease. The extinction of Argentavis is thought to have been linked to changing environmental conditions and competition with other predators. As the climate shifted and ecosystems changed, the availability of suitable prey may have decreased, putting pressure on large predators like Argentavis. A superpredator once inhabited Europe, Asia, and Africa, the giant short-faced hyena. It stood about 90 to 100 centimeters at the shoulder, and it is estimated to have averaged 110 kg in weight, approaching the size of a lioness, making it the largest known hyena. Found in Europe from around 2 million years ago, it was one of the most fearsome predators faced by the first hominin populations who ventured out of Africa. Although the hyena's direct role as an ecological competitor of Pleistocene hominins is often overemphasized, they were nonetheless a unique component of the fauna encountered by these populations. A cache of very comprehensive bone material was unearthed in the famous Zhugidian cave site in northern China, which probably represents the remains of animals using these caves as lairs for many millennia. At the western end of their former range, at Ventimiglia in southeastern Spain, a huge assemblage of Pleistocene fossils also represents a den. Yet another example exists in the Pabi Hills of Pakistan, where remains of animals scavenged or killed by the giant short-faced hyena were accumulated. Similar to the modern-day striped hyena, the short-faced hyena is often suggested to have been a kleptoparasitic scavenger of the kills of other predators, such as the saber-toothed cats and other large carnivores of the time. The giant hyena scavenged for food, probably preferentially so, because it was a heavy-set animal not built for chasing prey over long distances. In this respect, it would have differed from the spotted hyena of today, which is a more nimble animal that, contrary to its image as a scavenger, usually kills its own food, but often gets displaced by lions. Research by anthropologists Noel Boas and Russell Chicken on remains of Homo erectus unearthed alongside the giant hyena at the Zudikan site attributed scoring and puncture patterns observed on hominin long bones and skulls, originally thought to be signs of cannibalism to predation by the giant hyena. Hyenas are commonly known for the ability to break bones and feed on their contents, and the giant hyena was well adapted to this feeding habit. They were also capable of accumulating bones, as evidenced by some sites discovered by paleontologists. During the Pleistocene, hominins were the only other group capable of exploiting the content of bones as a food source, using lytic tools to break them. For this reason, the possible competition of these populations with the giant hyena is one of the great interests to researchers today. However, the reason why the species became extinct and the timing of this event in Europe has long been shrouded in mystery. A new study carried out by a group of researchers from the Sapienza Department of Earth Scientists and published in the Journal of Quaternary Science Reviews has re-evaluated giant hyena fossils and other hyenas spread across Europe in the Pleistocene. This has revealed that the giant short-faced hyena disappeared from Europe around 800,000 years ago, probably as a result of climatic and environmental changes and not due to competition with other species that spread during the same period. Although once widespread across the continent, the giant hyena was unable to cope with the climatic and environmental changes that occurred in the so-called early to middle Pleistocene transition. This period saw an increase in the amplitude and fluctuations between glacial and interglacial intervals at the beginning of the Ice Age. The replacement between the giant hyena and other hyenas is one of the most characteristic events of fauna renewal at the time. Several specialized carnivores, such as saber-toothed cats, declined or became extinct, while new and more adaptable species spread. These include lineages of modern fallow and red deer, wild boars, wolves, also human populations. The giant beaver is an extinct rodent that lived in North America between 1.4 million and 10,000 years ago. It was a distant cousin to modern beavers, but in many ways may have been more similar to modern capybaras. The giant beaver was one of the largest rodents ever to roam the earth, and one of approximately 30 extinct genera of beavers. Only 2 beaver species survive today, the North American beaver and the Eurasian beaver. The giant beaver received its scientific name, Castorides ohioensis, after remains of it were found in 1837 in Ohio. In Canada, giant beaver fossils have been found on Indian Island, New Brunswick, in Toronto, and near Highgate, Ontario, and in the Old Crow Basin, Yukon. They live in the oral history of many indigenous peoples, including the Innu, Seneca, Eastern Cree, Chippewa, and Ventuit Gwich'in. In addition to the giant beaver, another similar species lived during the same time period, C. dilophosaurus. The former mostly lived in southern Canada and the southern United States, but sometimes as far northwest as Yukon and Alaska. The latter was confined to the southeastern United States. Despite what their name suggests, giant beavers are not closely related to modern beavers. The last ancestor that had common lived about 20 million years ago. Giant beavers could grow to more than 2 meters long, not including their tail, and could weigh in excess of 100 kg. For comparison, modern beavers grow as long as 1.3 meters, but that's with the tail included. The giant beaver's tail could reach 65 centimeters long, but was proportionately narrower than the modern beavers. With large hind feet but short limbs overall, they were more adapted to aquatic life than movement on land. Their front teeth had blunt tips, prominent ridges along their outer surface, and could grow up to 15 centimeters long. Studies also show that giant beaver brains were proportionately smaller and smoother than those of modern beavers. This suggests they may not have been as capable at complex tasks. Scans have revealed a cavity in the giant beaver's skull that may have been used to produce sounds. While modern beavers also make noises, they do not have the same skeletal cavity. Little is known about the other giant beaver behaviours, such as social and mating habits. Researchers are still uncertain about the giant beaver's diet and lifestyle. Some think it ate aquatic plants almost exclusively and did not build dams or lodges. Others believe it ate mostly terrestrial plants and did build such structures. Although the location of fossils shows the giant beaver preferred aquatic habitats, there is little evidence to suggest engineering behaviour similar to modern beavers. For example, the angle of the giant beaver's front teeth does not seem adapted to tree cutting. Similarly, while branches have been found near giant beaver fossils before, there is disagreement as to whether their extremities match the shape of giant beavers' front teeth. Chemical and isotopic analysis of fossils have shown no sign of wood in the giant beaver's diet. However, these analyses do not exclude dam building entirely. Despite inconclusive evidence, tree harvesting has occurred in certain branches of the beaver family since the Miocene epoch, which was 23 to 5.3 million years ago, and a lodge that may have been built by giant beavers was found in Ohio in 1912. Whether giant beavers were the builders or not remains an open question. The most recent fossils found show that giant beavers went extinct towards the end of the Pleistocene epoch, about 10,000 years ago. While scientists aren't sure what caused their extinction, it is almost certainly related to the changing climatic conditions in that period, when many megafauna species went extinct. The wetlands in which giant beavers lived began to dry up, starting in the southern part of their range. Because they may not have been able to modify their environment like the modern beaver would, they were forced to move north. However, their bodies were poorly adapted to land travel, and many struggled to relocate. Other studies suggest a mix of causes leading to the giant beaver's extinction were different. For example, the changing climate also shifted the timing of precipitation, which may have hampered the growth of the plants giant beavers ate. Other factors, such as increased competition for food with other semi-aquatic rodents, may have also played a role. Camelops is an extinct genus of camels that lived in the western North America in the Middle Pliocene to the end of the Pleistocene. It shares a common ancestor with the Old World, dromedary and Bactrian camel, making it a true camel, as well as a more distant common ancestor with the New World alpaca, llama, and vicuna. The genus Camelops first appeared during the Middle Pliocene, about 4 to 3.2 million years ago, in southern North America, and became extinct at the end of the Pleistocene, around 10,000 years ago. Despite the fact that camels are popularly associated with the deserts of Asia and Africa, the family Camelidae, which comprises camels, llamas, and others, originated in North America during the Middle Eocene period, at least 44 million years ago. Both the camel and horse families originated in the Americas and migrated into Eurasia via the Bering Strait. Modern camels are descended from the extinct genus Paracamelus, which probably crossed the Bering Land Bridge into Asia about 7.5 to 6.5 million years ago. The divergence between Paracamelus and Camelops occurred about 10 to 11 million years ago. Paracamelus will continue to live in North America as a high Arctic camel until the Middle Pleistocene. During Pleistocene warm periods, a smaller type of Camelops inhabited Alaska and northern Yukon. These specimens date to about 50 to 45,000 years ago and seem to have disappeared from the area after this time, similar to the mastodon, the ground slot, and the giant beaver. The skull of a Camelops specimen was found above the Glens Ferry Formation in present-day Idaho in a thick layer of coarse gravel known as the Tuana gravels. Above this layer of gravel is another layer of fine river channel sands where the skull was found. The age of this fossil is as young as 2 million years old, and perhaps even younger. During the late Oligocene and early Miocene periods, camels apparently underwent swift evolutionary change, resulting in several genera with different anatomical structures, ranging from those with short limbs, those with gazelle-like bodies, and giraffe-like camels with long legs and long necks. This rich diversity decreased until only a few species, such as Camelops hesternus, remained in North America, before going extinct entirely around 11,000 years ago. By the end of the Pleistocene, Camelops was the only true camel remaining in North America, and possibly both Americas. Camelops' extinction was part of a larger North American extinction in which native horses, mastodon, and other megafauna also died out. Possible causal factors in this megafaunal extinction include global climate change and hunting pressure from human beings. The mass extinction coincided roughly with the appearance of people belonging to the big game hunting Clovis culture, who were prolific hunters with distinct fluted stone tools, which allowed for a spear to be attached to a stone tool. Biochemical analysis have shown that Clovis tools were used in butchering camels. Because soft tissues are generally not well preserved in the fossil record, it is not certain if Camelops possessed a hump, like modern camels, or lacked one, like modern llamas. Because one-humped camels are now known to have evolved from two-humped camels, it would follow that Camelops, if it had humps, probably had two. Camelops was about 2.2 meters tall at the shoulder, making it slightly taller than modern Bactrian camels. It was also slightly heavier, weighing about 800 kgs. Plant remains found in the teeth of some Camelops fossils further reveal that rather than being limited to grazing, this species likely ate mixed species of plants, including core shrubs growing in coastal southern California. Camelops probably could travel long distances, similar to modern camel species. Whether or not camelops could survive for long periods without water, as their extant camel cousins can, is still unknown. This may have been an adaptation that occurred much later, after camelids migrated to Asia and Africa. The last species of camelops are hypothesized to have disappeared as a result of the Blitzkrieg model. This model presents the hypothesis that camelops, along with other North American megafauna, disappeared as new cultures of experienced and efficient hunters moved southeastward across the continent. The result of this migration and expansion of human populations was a significant reduction in range for the megafauna. Of the many camelops specimens recovered in North America, mostly in the Wisconsin region, only a small number demonstrate modification through human actions. Some specimens have been interpreted as having been killed by humans based on the presence of spirally fractured bone fragments. None of the reported camelops sites has been associated with stone tools, however, which would be an indicator of possible human use. At many of these camelops sites, no fossils have been found of carcasses that were evidently processed, but rather small fragments and pieces of remains. Researchers originally thought that camelops species were in fact hunted and butchered by early humans in North America because of these reasons: the fragmenting of bones into shapes that look like tools, damage or weathering of the working edge of said tools, having attributes that were similar to making of chopping tools, and scarred fragments from the possible chopping of tools. Further examination showed, though, that these assumptions were misguided, and that while humans did coexist and associate with camelops, humans' use has yet been completely proven as the sole cause of extinction. These giant Ice Age animals that roamed the earth during the Pleistocene epoch were truly remarkable. From the massive wings of Argentavis to the imposing antlers of the giant Irish elk, these megafauna species captured the imagination of scientists and enthusiasts alike. Their sheer size, unique adaptations, and ecological roles made them fascinating subjects of study and contemplation. The extinction of these animals, whether it be due to climate change, human hunting, or other factors, serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of life on Earth. It underscores the importance of understanding and preserving biodiversity to ensure the long-term health and stability of our planet's ecosystems. In the end, these ancient giants serve as a testament to the ever-changing and dynamic nature of our world, reminding us of the beauty and diversity that once graced our planet during the icy embrace of the Pleistocene epoch. Deinosuchus, translating to terrible crocodile from Greek, was no ordinary croc. Discovered across North America from the eastern shores to the western expanses, this giant lived between 75 and 82 million years ago. Initially, paleontologists thought that there were 3 distinct species, but new research led by Adam Cassette has led to the recognition of a new species, Deinosuchus swimmeri. This discovery was made by re-evaluating fossils and combining evidence from across the continent, showing just how much we still have to learn about these ancient beasts. Envision a crocodile, but amplify it to a monstrous size. Deinosuchus could grow up to 33 feet long. Its most striking feature? teeth the size of bananas, capable of devastating force. These weren't just for show, they were tools for a life of ambush and predation. The skull of Deinosuchus had a unique, broad and elongated shape, ending in a bulbous snout, unlike anything seen in modern crocodilians. One intriguing mystery are two large vents at the end of its snout, whose purpose remains a mystery. Could they have helped regulate body temperature or serve another function? The debate continues among scientists. Deinosuchus was perfectly adapted to this environment, living in a time when North America was split by the western interior seaway, creating diverse aquatic habitats. These terror crocs were apex predators in both freshwater and brackish environments, lying in wait for unsuspecting prey. Their diet likely included a variety of animals, but we have evidence suggesting they particularly relished in the challenge of taking down dinosaurs like Albertosaurus. Imagine this, a dinosaur, perhaps just coming for a drink, suddenly finding itself in the grasp of this ancient predator, dragged into the water to meet its doom. Amazingly, the preserved fossils of two contemporaneous North American tyrannosaurs, Appalachiosaurus and Albertosaurus, bear clear evidence of Deinosuchus bite marks. It's not clear if these individuals succumbed to the attacks or went on to scavenge for another day after their wounds healed. But you have to admit, a 30-foot-long crocodile lunging at a 30-foot-long tyrannosaur makes for a compelling picture. This would not, incidentally, have been the only known dinosaur versus crocodile cage match. If it did in fact prey on dinosaurs on a regular basis, it would go a long way towards explaining the exceptionally large size of Deinosuchus, as well as the enormous force of its bite, about 10,000 to 15,000 pounds per square inch, well within Tyrannosaurus rex territory. Like many other animals of the Mesozoic era, Deinosuchus has a complicated fossil history. A pair of this crocodile's teeth was discovered in North Carolina in 1858 and attributed to the obscure genus Polypichodon, which itself was later recognized as a marine reptile rather than an ancestral crocodile. No less an authority than the American paleontologist Edward Drinker Cope attributed another Deinosuchus tooth discovered in North Carolina to the new genus Polydectes, and a later specimen discovered in Montana was attributed to the armored dinosaur Euplococephalus. It wasn't until 1904 that William Jacob Holland re-examined all of the available fossil evidence and erected the genus Deinosuchus. And even after that, the additional Deinosuchus remains were assigned to the now discarded genus Fabosuchus. Other than its enormous proportions, Deinosuchus was remarkably similar to modern crocodiles, an indication of how little the crocodilian line of evolution has changed over the past 100 million years. For many people, this raises the question of why crocodiles managed to survive the KT extinction event 65 million years ago, while their dinosaur and pterosaur cousins all went kaput. It's a little known fact that crocodiles, dinosaurs and pterosaurs all evolved from the same family of reptiles, the archosaurs, during the Middle Triassic period. Experts think it was one of the largest crocodilians that ever walked the planet. It lived alongside many giant dinosaurs and mosasaurs. None of these animals would have been big enough to prey on an adult Deinosuchus, however. They did compete for the same food sources since they shared a habitat. Also, young Deinosuchus probably fell prey to larger marine reptiles. Deinosuchus went extinct towards the end of the Cretaceous period, about 73 million years ago. The exact reason for their extinction isn't known. However, many experts agree that the disappearance of this species occurred before the main extinction event that occurred at the end of the period. From its banana-sized teeth to its mysterious snout apertures, Deinosuchus was not just a terror to dinosaurs, but a puzzle to modern science. This creature reminds us that the past's whole secrets we're only just beginning to unlock. Thanks for joining this journey back in time. If you're as fascinated by these ancient predators as I am, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for more adventures in paleontology. What would you like to see covered next? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And remember, for more extinct species, dinosaurs, and the wonders of our planet's history, check out my playlist on ancient animals. Until next time, keep exploring the mysteries of our past. On August 8, 1988, a man named Chris Nielsen was digging with a backhoe as part of a reconstruction project for Huntington Reservoir in Utah's Wasatch Mountains. Out of the sticky mud, he pulled what looked like to be a log. A closer examination revealed that it was actually a bone. A very large one. It turned out to be the front leg of a 15-foot tall Columbian mammoth. Part of a long, curved tusk was also found. To the crew's credit, work halted and a concerted excavation began. That summer, about 90% of the mammoth skeleton was found during a meticulous recovery process. It was in remarkable shape, thanks mostly to the encasement of mud that had hovered around freezing for thousands of years, acting as the perfect refrigerator and preservation agent for this ancient mammoth. At the excavation, it was so fresh we thought we could smell rotting meat at one place, said David Gillette, who was Utah's state paleontologist at the time. Based on the wear and tear of its teeth, the big bull mammoth was likely around 60 years old, granddaddy age for an elephant. It was no charmed life on the edge of this receding alpine lake. Nearly all of his bones showed signs of severe and painful disease, mostly arthritis. The partially digested food in his intestinal tract revealed that his last meal was meagre and thin, mostly needles and twigs from a fir tree, sedge leaves and seeds. Finally, around 13,000 calendar years ago, a point representing the very end of mammoth existence in America, he keeled over and died in the mud atop this mountain, far from his ancestral home. Columbian mammoths were typically plains dwellers, so it was unusual to find one in the mountains at 9,000 feet above sea level. At the time, it was the highest mammoth skeleton ever found in North America. But when he died, the Pleistocene and the continent's mammoth species were in their twilight as the climate was getting warmer. It's likely the Huntington mammoth was moving upslope in search of cooler climes in the upper reaches of the Wasatch Mountains, but he wasn't alone. Several projectile points were also found at the dig site, leading to speculation that Paleo-Indians may have either hunted the mammoth or scavenged it after finding it dead. Word got out about the mammoth in 1988, and soon locals were sneaking onto the site and digging on their own, even though it was on federal land and they didn't have permission. A crew was called in to guard the area. That's apparently when the remains of a giant short-faced bear were found and whisked away. A single rib and part of its skull, including several teeth. The story was that someone on the night watch duty took the bear parts and stowed them in a refrigerator. They were eventually returned, but the damage was done. Situational context is crucial in paleontological digs, and removing pieces before their location can be closely documented is like ripping pages from a book and trying to understand what they mean. Although the bear bones were recovered and placed safely in a museum, the physical context, including exact proximity to the mammoth and the human tools, was lost forever. Still, there was enough to scientifically piece together some of the story of this giant short-paced bear by Gillette, the Utah paleontologist, and David B. Madsen, both of whom worked at Utah's Division of State History. First of all, it was big, likely in the same ballpark of the giant found in the early 1980s near the ancient Lake Bonneville that was estimated to weigh around 1,400 pounds. The Huntington bear also had large teeth, a tall nasal cavity, and an exceptionally squished snout. This individual was distinctly short-faced, an extreme among the short-faced bears, Gillette and Madsen wrote. And then there was the matter of the projectile points and other lithic tools found nearby. Some of them were similar to points found in western Wyoming from around 9,500 years ago. Others were comparable to those found higher up the Rocky Mountains of the same vintage, if not a bit older. Could it be that, at this ancient lake, the mammoth, the bear, and the people were coexisting, each in their own desperate struggle for survival in a changing world? Maybe. The presence of these Paleo-Indian materials suggests, but cannot prove, that humans were contemporary with the Columbian mammoth and the short-faced bear at the Huntington Dam site, Gillette and Madsen said. Utah has long been a hotbed for Ice Age wildlife discoveries. About 2 miles away from the Huntington Reservoir, there is a site where American mastodons, extinct bison, and extinct horses have been found. About 60 miles north, there's another rich Pleistocene find, Silver Creek, as it's known, including 29 species like mastodons, ground sloths, direwolves, saber-toothed cats, camels, horses, and bison. The date there is from about 40,000 years ago, but what happened at Huntington may have been a final dramatic chapter in the final hours of the late Pleistocene. I'm guessing Arctidus was feeding on our poor dear mammoth, Gillette, the state paleontologist, said at a community meeting a couple of months after discovery. Perhaps it delivered the final blow. It's hard to know for sure, but the frozen dead mammoth, so well preserved in a cool boggy ground, might have been one of the last meals of the Huntington bear. Gnaw marks on one of the mammoth's wrist bones show a groove that matches the size of the teeth arrangement of the bear. State officials later revised what they think happened. It's possible that the bear fed on the carcass and died in the same place, they said. Or it's possible that a different short-faced bear had died on the mammoth. It's certainly not out of the question. Years later, scientists published a paper after examining mammoth remains found near Saltville, Virginia, where extreme examples of carnivore gnawing were found. The mammoth had died, and its carcass was probably partially submerged in water or mud, and then a wolf and another meat-eating scavenger, possibly an American lion or a giant short-faced bear, had come along and gnawed on its heel bones with enough force to be identified by scientists thousands of years later. One of the largest carnivores to ever walk the land, the giant short-faced bear, or Arctidus, as it is scientifically known, terrorized prehistoric North America. Ice Age short-faced bears were the largest mammalian land carnivore to ever live in North America. These bears were nearly 1.5 meters high when walking normally, but stood about 3.4 meters tall when on their hind legs. They could have had a vertical reach of more than 4.3 meters. This is about 1.5 times the size of a present-day Kodiak grizzly bear. Given their huge size and taste for meat, the short-faced bear has a surprising evolutionary history. Their closest living relative is the spectacled bear, which lives among the trees in the mountainous regions of western and northern South America. Spectacled bears have short, broad faces, like the Ice Age short-faced bear, but are nearly entirely herbivorous, preferring leaves, fruit, and other vegetation. There is some debate regarding the diets and behaviour of the Ice Age short-faced bear. Given its huge body stature, large molars, and canine teeth, it is tempting to view them as menacing predators. However, investigation of their fossil skeletons reveals a much different picture. A prominent feature of the short-faced bear is the remarkably long, thin limb bones and feet that supported a heavy torso. These limbs were adapted for efficient long-distance pacing, rather than the explosive acceleration and high-speed pursuits typical of other large predators, like lions. The limbs and feet of a short-faced bear could not support their large bodies for a rapid acceleration or sudden changes in direction necessary to take down a fleeing bison or horse. The cranium also provides some clues to short-faced bear behaviour. The nasal opening is very large, suggesting that it had a pronounced sense of smell. This, combined with the long limbs, point to the short-faced bear as a solitary, wide-ranging scavenger of carcasses. Rather than killing on their own, the short-faced bear would probably smell the scent of meat in the wild, follow it to the carcass, chase off the lions or wolves, and dine on the leftovers. Their large cheek teeth were probably effective at cracking long bones for their marrow, and sharp fangs could deflesh a carcass. The chemistry of short-faced bear fossils bones found in Yukon and Alaska indicate a diet nearly completely composed out of meat. This model of the short-faced bear's hyper-carnivorous scavenging, however, is not universally accepted. Some scientists have recently suggested that the short-faced bear was neither particularly long-limbed nor short-faced, and proposed that they were omnivorous like most bears are today. More evidence, including new short-faced bear bones found in Yukon, will be needed to help solve this question. Arctodus inhabited vast regions of North America, including modern-day United States, Mexico, and parts of Canada. Its distribution covered a diverse range of habitats, from grasslands to forests, making it a versatile predator capable of adapting to various ecosystems. This adaptability positioned the giant short-faced bear as one of the dominant predators in its environment. Within these habitats, the Arctodus established territories that encompassed large areas. These territories were marked by the bear's distinctive claw marks on trees and rocks, serving as a warning to other bears and potential competitors. The size of its territory varied depending on the availability of resources, with larger territories in areas abundant with prey. Arctodus was known to be a solitary animal, with individuals typically avoiding direct contact with one another. However, during mating season, male bears would engage in fierce competition to win favour of females. These confrontations involve displays of strength and dominance, with the victor earning the right to mate. The reason for the giant short-faced bear's extinction is unclear, but it is generally accepted that the extinction of larger prey species and increased competition from other species, such as brown bears or even humans, played a role in the disappearance of the giant short-faced bear during the Pleistocene-Holocene transition. To see an animal as fearsome as this must have been quite the experience for our ancestors, who travelled from Eurasia and first colonised the North American continent. At this time, America was teeming with megafauna, both predators and prey. Of all these impressive creatures, though, the giant short-faced bear must have stood out among the rest. Deep in the woods of California, a mountain lion stalks its prey. A white-tailed deer is grazing in the overgrowth. Stealth is key until the mountain lion is within range. Mountain lions will sneak up on their prey and then attack from behind or the side. They can run up to 80 kilometers per hour for a short distance and will jump on the animal's back, almost always getting the animal by the neck and taking it to the ground. If initially they haven't broken the neck, they will then go on to suffocate the animal. A brutal act, but a way of life for this impressive predator. The mountain lion, along with the lynx, ocelot and jaguar, are the big cats still roaming the North American continent today. This, however, was not always the case, as prehistoric America was home to a wide array of diverse big cat species, some well known, others less so. In this video, we will take a look at some of these species in further detail and hopefully shed light on some little known facts about the big cat lineage. So without further ado, let's get started. We'll start off with a big cat that's kind of in between well known and obscure. Well, for me anyway, as I wasn't aware of its existence just until a few years ago. During the last ice age, lions lived in Africa, Europe, Asia and North America, giving them one of the largest ranges of any mammal. The lions that lived in North America were called American lions. This lion was the largest extinct cat to live in North America during the Pleistocene. For paleontologists, these lions are a source of debate. How they are related to other big cats is uncertain. Recent genetic testing suggests that American lions evolved from the Eurasian cave lions that crossed the Beringia land bridge into North America. The American lion was a fierce predator, standing over 1 meter tall at the shoulder and 2.5 meters in length. The American lion is slightly bigger than today's African lion. The average American lion was very strong and bulky, weighing over 200 kgs. Despite their weight, these big cats were very fast. They had long, slender legs that allowed them to reach speeds of 50 kilometers per hour. The speed and the bulk of these animals helped them catch the megafauna they shared the continent with. American lions hunted other Ice Age animals, including camelids, giant ground sloths, bison, and even young mammoths. Scientists do not yet know if the American lion hunted by itself or in groups. Regardless, the American lion was very successful. Fossils have been found from Canada to as far south as Mexico. With this range, American lions likely made it to the Tularosa Basin in New Mexico, which is today home to the White Sands National Park. Before the sand dunes of the White Sands formed, many of the animals the American lion hunted lived along the freshwater shores of the now dried up lake Otero. Today, fossilized footprints of the American lion can be found left in the alkali flat, what remains of the ancient lake Otero. American lions roamed across North America for thousands of years. However, around 10,000 years ago, they went extinct, alongside many other Ice Age animals. The exact reasons are unknown. Their demise may have been due to human actions, climate change, or both. Whatever the cause, the reign of the lions in North America ended with the Ice Age. What I find fascinating about the prehistoric American big cats is that a lot of these species coexisted on the continent at the same time. You could say that this is the case in places like Africa today with lions, cheetahs and leopards, but these animals have carved out separate ecological niches for themselves, which in turn allows them to avoid direct competition with one another. This next big cat coexisted and most certainly would have been in conflict with the American lion, as their prey and hunting methods would have been very similar. Possibly the most well-known prehistoric big cat, the Smilodon, also known as the saber-toothed tiger, stands out among the rest. Smilodon fatalis was the second largest extinct cat roaming North America, reaching around 1 meter tall at the shoulder and with a body length of approximately 1.8 meters, and then weighing between 150 and 250 kg. Its scientific name, Smilodon fatalis, means fate scalpel tooth, referring to the elongated, blade-like upper canines that could reach 11 inches in length. The forearm bones of the saber-toothed cat were more robust than most other large cats, suggesting that they bore powerful muscles for grasping and restraining prey. It also had a shortened tail, much like the living bobcat. The first Smilodon fossils were discovered in the 1830s in Brazil and were named Smilodon populator by Danish naturalist Peter Wilhelm Lund in 1842. The first Smilodon fatalis fossils from North America were discovered from a cave in Texas and were named by American paleontologist Joseph Leidy in 1869. Thousands of Smilodon fatalis fossils have been collected from the La Brea tar pits in Los Angeles, and thus is the California state fossil. Though sometimes called the saber-toothed tiger, Smilodon is not directly related to tigers or other pantherine cats such as lions, leopards, and jaguars. Smilodon was one of the last of the Machairodonts, or Machairodontinae, an extinct branch of the cat family tree that evolved elongated, saber-like upper canine teeth. The other major branch of cats, called the Felinae, include all living cats that we see today. The ancestor of Smilodon evolved in Eurasia and entered North America approximately 5 million years ago. The oldest Smilodon is called Smilodon gracilis, which lived 2.5 million years ago and was smaller and less robust than Smilodon fatalis. After crossing the newly created land bridge of Panama roughly 2 million years ago, Smilodon evolved into two separate species, the North American Smilodon fatalis and the larger South American Smilodon populator. Both the North and South American species of Smilodon went extinct roughly 10,000 years ago. Fossils of Smilodon fatalis have been found as far north as Alberta, Canada, and as far south as parts of northwestern South America. Fossils also suggest that Smilodon occurred in both Atlantic and Pacific coasts. It has been previously suggested that Smilodon may have preferred open to mixed woodlands because they were rarely found in areas of open habitats such as grasslands. Smilodon was a carnivore and it hunted large mammals. Isotopic analysis of the bones of Smilodon suggests that they had a prey preference of ruminant grazers such as bison and camels, as well as forest-dwelling browsers such as deer and tapirs. It is theorized that they would have used their enlarged canines to pierce the necks of their prey, which would cause massive bleeding and suffocation. The anatomy of the saber-toothed cat suggests that it was an ambush predator and had a relatively good jumping ability. The bones in its throat suggest that it could communicate by roaring like modern big cats. There are also several Smilodon fossils that exhibit healed injuries, which have led some paleontologists to suggest that they had some form of social structure that shared resources. These social groups could have been similar to African lion prides or perhaps monogamous pairs with offspring. As with the American lion, Smilodon went extinct around 10,000 BC for probably the same reasons as their cousins. Why the Smilodon and cave lion went extinct around 10,000 BC, whereas their relatives, mountain lions and the rest, survived, we may never know. One theory, which I would agree is the most probable, is the fate of these prey animals, the megafauna such as mammoths, ancient camels and ground sloths all succumbed to extinction. The prehistoric big cats could not adapt and would have subsequently died out along with their prey. This next cat did not survive to as recent as 10,000 BC, but its journey and ultimate fate is fascinating. Homotherium, also known as the scimitar-toothed cat or scimitar cat, is an extinct genus of Machairodontinae saber-toothed predator. Often termed scimitar-toothed cats, they inhabited North America, South America, Eurasia, and Africa during the Pliocene and Pleistocene epochs, existing for approximately 4 million years. It is closely related to Smilodon, coming from the same, now extinct genus. The lineage of Homotherium is estimated to have diverged from that of Smilodon about 18 million years ago. It was thought that Homotherium had gone extinct relatively early, nearly 300,000 years ago, but amazingly, a rogue specimen of Homotherium was found in the North Sea of Europe, dated to be from around 28,000 years ago when the sea levels were lower. During this time, the UK was connected to Europe by a massive dry plain known as Doggerland. Homotherium would have come into contact with humans who would also have lived and hunted on these plains. I find this discovery especially fascinating as it sheds light on how little we know about the true range and longevity of these ancient animals. There has also been a discovery of a 1.8 million year old fossil in Venezuela, indicating that scimitar-toothed cats were able to invade South America along with Smilodon during the Great American Interchange, a very well-travelled animal. Homotherium reached 1.1 meters at the shoulder and weighed an estimated 190 kg, and was therefore about the size of a male African lion. Compared to more familiar Machairodonts, like Smilodon, Homotherium had relatively shorter upper canines, but these flat, serrated teeth were still longer than those of any living cat. Homotherium's incisors and lower canines formed a powerful puncturing and gripping device. The skull was longer than in Smilodon, and it possessed a well-developed sagittal crest, where muscles were attached to power the lower jaw. Its large canine teeth were crenulated and designed for slashing rather than purely stabbing. However, a 2018 study found that Homotherium possessed a bite adapted to clamp and hold while inflicting damage with its canines, similar to a lion's, due to the larger amounts of trabecular bone present in the skulls of the genus. This is unlike the canine shear bite of Smilodon, which it has been compared to, and this difference in killing bites provides evidence for distinct ecological adaptations. The large upper canines of Homotherium were likely hidden by the upper lips and gum tissues of the lower lips, jaw similar to extant cats, unlike the large upper canines of Smilodon. Homotherium also had an unusually large square nasal opening, similar to that of a cheetah, which may have allowed faster oxygen intake, which would have also facilitated the cooling of the brain. The visual cortex in Homotherium's brain was large and complex, also unlike that of the modern cheetah, implying that it relied heavily on vision during the hunt. Genomic analysis supports the hypothesis that Homotherium was social and well adapted to life as a pursuit predator. Genes revealing high genetic diversity indicate the genus was far more common than previously assumed due to the preservation bias of the fossil record. The study also revealed that this genus of Machaerodont was most likely diurnal and would have mainly hunted in daylight. At the well-known Frishan Cave in Texas, the remains of almost 400 juvenile mammoths were discovered, along with numerous Homotherium skeletons of all ages, from elderly specimens to cubs. Based on this fossil site, Homotherium was likely a social predator. It would have been specialised in hunting young mammoths and then dragging these kills into secluded caves to eat in relative peace. As we've seen, a lot of the North American big cats were large, powerful predators. With this last animal, I've gone for something a little bit different. Not all of these extinct animals hunted by using their brawn. Just like its modern-day cousin, this predator used its speed. The American cheetah is a species of the extinct genus Myricynonyx, endemic to North America during the Pleistocene epoch. The American cheetah was morphologically similar to modern cheetahs. These cats were originally known from just fragments of skeletons, but nearly complete skeletons have been recovered from Natural Trap Cave in northern Wyoming. It is true to say that the skeletons of the long-dead American cheetah and the African cheetah are very similar, but there are some key differences, and one of the most obvious is size. These were larger than a modern cheetah, and a similar size to a modern northern cougar. It typically weighed around 70 kg, with a head and body length of 170 centimeters, tail length around 92 centimeters, and shoulder height of 85 centimeters. Large specimens could have weighed more than 95 kg. The claws of the American cheetah could be fully retracted, which has led to the suggestion that this cat may not have been as specialised for fast running as the African feline that we know today. The forelimbs of the American cheetah are also sturdier than today's cheetah, and they were connected to bigger muscles. Greater strength in the upper body, an interesting arrangement of the bones on the lower hind limbs, and retractable claws suggest that this animal may have been able to climb trees, something that today's cheetah definitely cannot do. However, these differences aside, so much of the American cheetah's skeleton is similar to the modern cheetah that it is very reasonable to assume these animals had very similar lifestyles. So how was the American cheetah related to the African cheetah? You would assume that being so similar, the American cheetah and the living African cheetah would be very closely related, and it has been argued that the American cheetah could have crossed the Bering Land Bridge into Asia, eventually arriving in Africa and spawning the cheetah that we know today. However, nature is never that simple, and it is much more likely that these similarities arose due to a process of convergent evolution, the phenomenon by which two unrelated species end up resembling one another because they adapt to similar circumstances. Being a predator which relied on its speed, it most likely preyed on relatively fast-moving prey such as the pronghorn antelope. Fortunately for the pronghorn antelope, the American cheetah died out around 10,000 years ago. Its extinction coincides with the disappearance of many North American mammals, but what factors ultimately led to the demise of this feline are more of a mystery. Climate change was obviously a factor, and the loss of some of its prey species may also have been important. During prehistory, the diversity and copious amount of large predators that roamed not only North America is simply staggering. Here we have just covered some of the big cats, but there were many more species also coexisting at the time, which created a melting pot of conflict and in some cases cooperation. Unfortunately, the events of 10,000 BC signaled the end of this era, but they have left a legacy that is studied by scientists and enthusiasts to this day. The African savanna, world famous for its biodiversity and interconnected ecosystem of large fauna, interacting in a complex web of predator, prey, grazer, and scavenger. There truly is no other place on Earth like it. This statement is true for these modern times, but if we go back to prehistory, this ecosystem spanned the globe. Europe today could be, and probably is correctly, seen as Earth's most tamed continent. Millennia of civilization has shaped the land into what it is today, which is very little untouched wilderness. In this video, I want to go back to a time where Europe resembled the savanna of Africa. And in the complex web I mentioned, I want to focus on some of the most iconic predators of the time, the big cats. This is something of a follow-up to my previous video, documenting some of the prehistoric big cats that called North America their home, so you can also check that out if you wish to do so. But for now, let's begin. We will start off with a relatively well-known species, the European cave lion, scientifically known as Panthera spelaeon. This animal inhabited the European continent during the Pleistocene era. With its powerful build, majestic appearance, and impressive hunting skills, the European cave lion was a dominant predator of its time. The European cave lion was a large, robust feline, comparable in size to its modern-day relative, the African lion. Assuming that an African lion tips the scales at 280 kg, the cave lion could be near 320 kg. Dimensionally, they were a bit taller, longer, and bulkier, but due to their heart sizes, they couldn't reach more than 360 kg. It had a muscular body, strong legs, and a broad head adorned with powerful jaws and sharp canines. Its most distinguishing feature was its impressive mane, which covered its head, neck, and shoulders, giving it a regal and fearsome appearance. This species inhabited a vast range across Europe, from the Iberian Peninsula to Siberia. Its preferred habitat was diverse, ranging from open woodlands to grassy plains and even rocky areas. However, the European cave lion was particularly associated with cave systems, hence its name. These caves provided shelter from the harsh weather conditions of the time, protection, and a suitable environment for raising its young. The European cave lion was a solitary and territorial creature, with males having larger home ranges than females. They were highly skilled hunters, relying on their strength, speed, and agility to capture a variety of prey. Fossil evidence suggests that their diet consists of primarily large herbivores such as bison, horses, and deer. These lions would often ambush their prey, using their powerful forelimbs and sharp claws to bring down the animals swiftly. Aside from hunting, the European cave lion is believed to have had a complex social structure. Males would often establish territories and defend them against rival males, while females would raise their cubs in secluded dens within their home ranges. This social organisation allowed for a successful reproduction and continuation of their species. Unfortunately, the European cave lion did eventually face extinction. The exact cause of its demise is still a subject of debate among scientists. Some theories suggest that the decline of its primary prey species, coupled with climate change and competition from other predators, were the causes. A combination of these factors probably contributed to its extinction. Others argue that human activities such as hunting and habitat destruction played a significant role. While the cave lion would be considered well known to most with an interest in paleontology, this next European big cat I personally was not aware of until my researching for this video. There were not only lions roaming Europe, but also many other species of big cat, which had their own ecological niches. The giant cheetah, scientifically known as Acinonyx paradinosus, was a remarkable predator that coexisted along with the cave lion during the Pleistocene era. With its impressive size, unique physical characteristics, and swift hunting abilities, the giant cheetah was a formidable creature. The giant cheetah was a much larger and more robust relative of the modern-day cheetah. It was roughly twice the size of today's cheetahs, putting it at around 80 to 100 kg, and about 2 meters from head to rump, not including the tail. Its reconstructed shoulder height was at 90 centimeters. It had a distinctive appearance with a long, slender body, elongated limbs, and a relatively short tail. The most notable feature of the giant cheetah was its size, with some individuals even measuring up to more than twice the size of today's cheetahs. This increase in size allowed it to hunt larger prey and compete with other predators in its ecosystem. This species inhabited a wide range across Europe, Asia, and Africa. Its preferred habitat included grasslands, savanna, and open woodlands, where it could utilise its incredible speed and agility to its advantage. The giant cheetah had adapted to these environments, developing long, slender limbs and a flexible spine, which provided excellent running capabilities. The giant cheetah was primarily a solitary hunter, relying on its incredible speed to chase down and capture its prey. Fossil evidence suggests that it specialised in hunting large herbivores such as deer, antelope, and wild horses. Its long legs and flexible spine allowed it to reach astonishing speeds, estimated to be around 112 kilometers per hour, making it one of the fastest land animals to ever have existed. In addition to its physical attributes, the giant cheetah also had unique adaptations in its skull structure. Its large nasal passages and enlarged nasal bones allowed for increased oxygen intake during high-speed pursuits. This specialisation in breathing likely played a crucial role in its hunting strategies, enabling it to sustain its incredible bursts of speed for longer periods. Even with all these remarkable adaptations, the giant cheetah eventually did face extinction. The exact cause of its demise is still a subject of debate among scientists, and as with the cave lion, some theories suggest that changes in climate and habitat, as well as competition from other predators, contributed to its decline. The giant cheetah leaves a legacy as a remarkable predator due to its impressive size, unique physical characteristics, and swift hunting abilities. Pretty much everyone has at least heard of the saber-toothed tiger. What some might not realise is that it was not one animal. It was an entire species of big cat with many different subspecies which spanned the globe. Some of these lived during the same eras, while some were more archaic and over millions of years evolved into more modern forms. This next entry is part of the saber-toothed family, but one that's less known of their kind. Machaerodus kabir, also known as the giant saber-toothed cat, was one of, if not the, largest big cat to have ever existed. Belonging to the genus Machaerodus, this prehistoric cat was a distant relative of the modern-day felines, but possessed unique features that set it apart. Machaerodus kabir was a large and robust cat, estimated to have weighed around 300 to 400 kg and measured up to 1.2 meters at the shoulder, making it one of the largest mammalian predators ever known to have existed. Its most distinctive feature was its enormous canines, which could reach up to 20 centimeters in length. These impressive saber-like teeth were used for hunting and subduing prey. This species inhabited various regions across Eurasia and North America during the late Miocene to the Pleistocene era, approximately 12 to 1.5 million years ago. Its preferred habitat included open grasslands, savannas, and woodlands, where it could use its hunting skills effectively. The availability of large herbivores like horses, bison, and deer provided ample prey for Machairodus kabir. The giant saber-toothed tiger was an apex predator, capable of taking down large herbivores with its powerful jaws and sharp canines. It likely employed an ambush hunting strategy, using its stealth and agility to approach its prey undetected. Once within striking distance, it would deliver a swift and lethal bite to the throat or neck of its prey, severing vital arteries and causing rapid incapacitation. This animal was likely a solitary hunter, as there is little evidence to suggest it lived in social groups. Its size and strength allowed it to dominate its hunting grounds and fend off potential competitors. Additionally, it is believed that Machairodus kabir had excellent endurance, enabling it to pursue prey over long distances until exhaustion set in. As the environment evolved and large herbivores diminished in numbers, the giant saber-toothed cat faced increasing challenges in finding suitable prey, ultimately leading to its extinction. While Machairodus kabir is no longer with us, its legacy lives on through the study of fossils and scientific research. These remnants provide valuable insights into the ecology and behaviour of this fascinating predator. They also serve as a reminder of the diverse and dynamic nature of our planet's history. We have already covered one type of prehistoric lion in this video, but these were not the only ones to call Europe their home in this era. There was another which, while still different in many ways, would have acted much the same as their extant African cousins would today. The European lion, scientifically known as Panthera leo europaea, was a majestic and powerful creature that once inhabited the continent. With its regal appearance, impressive size, and hunting prowess, the European lion held a significant place in the natural history of Europe. The European lion closely resembled its modern-day relative, the African lion. It had muscular build, large head adorned with a magnificent mane, and sharp canines designed for hunting and tearing through flesh. The size of the European lion varied, with males typically being larger than females. This subspecies was one of the largest lions. The exoskeleton of an adult male, which was found in 1985 near Siegsdorf in Germany, had a shoulder height of around 1.2 meters and a head-to-body length of 2.1 meters without the tail. This is similar to the size of a very large modern lion. Their impressive physical stature and striking mane made them an iconic symbol of strength and dominance. The European lion once inhabited a vast range across Europe, from the British Isles to the Balkans, and as far east as Russia. Its preferred habitat included diverse landscapes such as forests, woodlands, grasslands, and even mountainous regions. This adaptability allowed the European lion to thrive in various environments, using its hunting skills to capture prey efficiently. As a social species, the European lion lived in prides consisting of related females, their offspring, and a dominant male, quite similar to how African lion social structures behave today. These prides had well-defined territories, which they defended against rival lions and other potential threats. The dominant male played a vital role in protecting the pride, ensuring the survival of the cubs and maintaining order within the group. This lion was a skilled and opportunistic hunter. Its primary prey consisted of large herbivores such as red deer, wild boar, and European bison. These lions would work together to bring down their prey, utilising their strength, speed, and cooperative hunting strategies. The females played a crucial role in stalking and ambushing the prey, while the males provided the brute force needed to overpower and subdue it. As with the other big cats in this video, the European lion eventually faced extinction. Some theories suggest that a combination of factors, as we have already mentioned with previous entries, including habitat loss, human activities such as hunting, and the decline of its prey, contributed to its extinction. Additionally, the spread of agriculture and the rise of human civilization led to the destruction of the European lion's natural habitats, further limiting its survival chances. The extinction of the European lion marked the end of an era. Its disappearance left a void in the European ecosystem, altering the dynamics of the natural world. Despite its adaptability and hunting skills, the European lion eventually could not survive in this ever-changing environment, leaving behind a legacy of awe and admiration for its place in the natural history of Europe. The last big cat I'll be covering is related to one of the most elusive and solitary big cats that still lives with us today, the jaguar. Panthera gombasiogensis, also known as the European jaguar, is a Panthera species that lived from about 2 to 0.35 million years ago in Europe. The first fossils were excavated in 1938 in Gombasek, Slovakia. European jaguars were larger than the modern-day jaguars found in South America, such as Pantanal and Peruvian jaguars. With a body weight between 70 and 210 kg, they were therefore probably capable of bringing down much larger prey. Like other Panthera species, they were thought to have been sexually dimorphic, with significantly larger males. The European jaguar is also thought to have had a coat adorned with rosette-shaped spots, like some of its modern cousins. As a solitary and territorial species, the European jaguar had a wide home range, which it fiercely defended against intruders. It was a master of stealth and camouflage, using its spotted coat to blend seamlessly into its surroundings. This enabled the European jaguar to approach its prey undetected, increasing the chances of a successful hunt. The European jaguar was an opportunistic hunter with a diverse diet. Its primary prey consisted of ungulates such as deer, wild boar, and ibex. However, it was also known to hunt smaller mammals, reptiles, and even fish in certain habitats. This kind of adaptability is rare in big cat species, so would have greatly increased the European jaguar's survivability. With its powerful jaws and sharp teeth, the European jaguar could overpower and subdue most prey with ease. Eventually, this animal, like the others, faced their inevitable extinction. The causes are thought to be pretty much the same as the others, but also from competition from the European lion. As the lion's territory expanded, the jaguars diminished. In the end, the lion won out, and the jaguar took its place in the annals of history. These were just some of the big cats that lived in the time of prehistory. If there are any more additional ones you would like covered in a future video, or even a different species of prehistoric animal, please let me know in the comments, as I'm always interested in learning more. A pack of powerful predators moves stealthily through the dense forest, their keen senses on high alert. The alpha male leads the group, his sharp eyes scanning the surroundings for any sign of movement. Suddenly, a scent catches their attention, the unmistakable smell of a herd of deer nearby. With a silent signal, the pack splits up, each member strategically positioning themselves to surround their unsuspecting prey. The direwolves move in perfect coordination, using their speed and strength to outmaneuver the deer. As the chase ensues, The pack works together seamlessly, each member playing their part in the hunt. With a burst of speed, the alpha male lunges forward, taking down the largest deer with a swift and deadly strike. The rest of the pack quickly closes in, securing their meal and feasting on the fresh kill. The hunt is a success, showcasing the incredible teamwork and hunting prowess of the mighty direwolves. Direwolves, scientifically known as Canis dirus, lived during the Pleistocene epoch, which lasted from around 2.6 million to 11,700 years ago. They were closely related to modern-day wolves, but had some distinct differences in their physical characteristics. The defining feature of the direwolf, compared to today's wolves, was its impressive size and build. Towering over modern grey wolves, they were estimated to have weighed around 150 to 200 pounds, while modern wolves typically weigh between 70 and 100 pounds. Direwolves boasted a stocky frame, short legs, and a broad skull, housing powerful jaws. Fossil evidence also indicates that males typically weighed more than females. These adaptations likely helped them take down larger prey such as bison, horses, and even mammoths. Their teeth, larger and more robust than those of contemporary wolves, were likely specialised for crushing bones and scavenging, reflecting their adaptability in harsh Pleistocene environments. As already mentioned, direwolves were skilled hunters that primarily preyed on large herbivores. They used their powerful jaws and sharp teeth to take down their prey, often hunting in packs to increase their chances of success. These apex predators were known for their endurance and ability to track and chase down their prey over long distances. They would work together as a coordinated team, with some members driving the prey towards others waiting in ambush. This cooperative hunting strategy allowed direwolves to take down much larger animals than they could on their own. Overall, they were efficient predators that played a crucial role in the prehistoric ecosystem. One of the most fascinating aspects of the direwolf was their social structure. They lived in packs that could consist of up to 30 individuals, working together to bring down large prey and defend their territory. This pack mentality allowed them to thrive in a variety of environments and outcompete other predators. The social structure within a direwolf pack was hierarchical, with an alpha male and female leading the group. Younger wolves would often help care for and protect the pups of the pack. Overall, direwolves relied on their social bonds to thrive in their prehistoric environment. Fossil evidence suggests that direwolves had a wide range across North and South America, adapting to a variety of environments from grasslands to forests. The presence of direwolves in South America is significant as it highlights the broad range and adaptability of this extinct predator. It is believed that direwolves migrated from North America into South America during periods of changing climate and land connections, such as the formation of the Panamanian land bridge. This movement allowed for the interchange of species between the two continents, leading to the dispersal of various megafauna, including the direwolves. Direwolves, being apex predators during the Pleistocene epoch, would have interacted with a variety of other predators in their ecosystems. These interactions would have been influenced by factors such as competition for resources, territorial boundaries, hunting strategies, and social dynamics. Direwolves likely competed with other large predators, such as saber-toothed cats and American lions, for access to prey species. Competition for limited food sources could have led to confrontations. While direwolves were skilled hunters, they were also opportunistic scavengers. They may have competed with scavengers like vultures, hyenas, and smaller carnivores for access to carcasses, especially of large herbivores like mammoths and mastodons. As with today, animals would have also practiced what we call mutual avoidance. Some predators may have avoided direct confrontations with direwolves to minimize the risks of injury or competition. For example, smaller predators like foxes or scavengers like vultures may have waited for direwolves to finish their meal before approaching the carcass, or even larger megafauna would have thought twice before taking on a direwolf pack. While humans and direwolves coexisted during the Pleistocene epoch, there is no concrete evidence to suggest direct interactions between early humans and these extinct predators. Early human populations in the Americas, such as Paleo-Indians, would have been aware of the presence of direwolves in the landscape, but the extent of their interactions remains speculative. It is possible that humans may have encountered direwolves while scavenging for resources or hunting other prey species, but there is no definitive evidence of direct links or interactions between the two. The lack of clear evidence of human-direwolf interactions may be attributed to several factors, including the sparse archaeological record, the different ecological niches occupied by humans and direwolves, and the limited overlap of their respective ranges and behaviours. While both species were prominent players in the Pleistocene ecosystems of the Americas, their paths likely diverged, with humans focusing on hunting smaller game and utilising different resources than the large predators like direwolves. The extinction of direwolves is believed to have occurred around 9,500 years ago, during the late Pleistocene and early Holocene epochs. There are several theories as to why direwolves went extinct, including climate change, competition with other predators, and human hunting. The climate warmed and large herbivores that the direwolves relied on for food became scarce. Their population likely then declined. Additionally, the arrival of human populations in North America may have put further pressure on direwolf populations through hunting and habitat destruction. These factors, combined with the changing environment, are thought to have contributed to the eventual extinction of the direwolf species. As a massive fan of Game of Thrones, to learn all about the real direwolves that lived and thrived on the American continents was especially enjoyable to do. Of all the prehistoric animals I've covered, this would be the one I would like the most to see in the flesh. I may have said that before, but this is my new favourite. Throughout Earth's long and diverse history, life has continuously evolved in remarkable ways, adapting to a myriad of environments and challenges. Among the most fascinating aspects of this evolutionary journey are the unique adaptations that ancient animals developed to survive and thrive. These adaptations, often surprising and sometimes bizarre, reveal the incredible ingenuity of nature. In this video, we explore 5 unusual adaptations exhibited by ancient animals. By examining these adaptations, we gain insights not only into the lives of these long extinct creatures, but also into the broader mechanisms of evolution that continue to shape the natural history of the world today. From the massive tusks of ancient guinea pigs to a cold-blooded goat, these adaptations highlight the endless creativity of life in its relentless quest for survival. First off, we have the dolphin that thought it was a swordfish. Scores of strange creatures appear and disappear every time the oceans warm and cool. Among the weirdest of these animals was a dolphin that attacked prey with a sword-like nose, just like a swordfish does. The longest snouted mammal of all time, Xeracus flagellator, arrived at the evolutionary party around 20 million years ago during the Neogene period. This creature sported a schnoz 5 times longer than its skull. This Pinocchio nose of a snout was more than 1 meter long, and it swept through the water as a Z flagellator searched for prey. Once it locked onto its unfortunate meal, Z flagellator clubbed its victim silly with its weaponized snout. Scientists know this after studying the structure of the snout to estimate the forces it could withstand. Researchers also compared Z flagellator's physiology to similar prehistoric dolphins, as well as modern marlins. The climate would eventually snuff out Z flagellator around the beginning of the Pliocene epoch. A brutal glaciation period altered the creature's habitat and food supply, wiping out the long snouts by around 2.5 million years ago. Next up is the 1,000 kilogram guinea pig that stabbed enemies with its massive tusks. 3 million years ago, prehistoric rodents packed some serious muscle. The Uruguayan Joseph Ortegacia monesi was the mightiest, with a hulking 1,000 kilogram body that could stand shoulder to shoulder with a bull. Of all the rodent's distinctive features, oversized front teeth are the most obvious. The maxed out guinea pig, J. monesi, was the king among beasts in dental regards, as well with 30 centimeter incisors that resembled tusks more than rodent teeth. Just seeing these teeth wasn't enough for scientists, who wanted to know how they handled. Using CT scans, virtual reconstructions, and computer simulations, researchers recreated J. monesi's bite and found it was capable of delivering a bite about as strong as a tiger's, even though J. monesi's chompers could bear forces 3 times as great. That's probably because it did more than bite. J. monesi probably used its tusk-like incisors to gore anything that ticked it off. The creature also uses teeth to root about in the ground and dig up hidden foodstuffs like an elephant would. Overall, very impressive for the cousin of a guinea pig. Once upon a time in prehistoric Europe, there lived a ferocious bear. This bear, however, seems to have been a vegetarian. The European cave bear, so called for its fondness of caves, weighed up to 500 kilograms and rivaled the largest living bears today. But unlike our modern omnivorous picnic-snatching bears, this ancient variant was exclusively herbivorous. These bears roamed Europe and Asia from 300,000 to 25,000 years ago, dying out at around the last glacial maximum. Even though its environment was dry and cold, Ursus spelius managed to forage for enough vegetation to support its large 3.5 meter long frame on salad. How do scientists know? They analysed the bones, some which date back to nearly 50,000 years ago, of 6 bears discovered at 3 cave sites in Romania. Scientists zoomed in on the fossilised collagen within the skeletal remains and compared it to the bone collagen from carnivores, herbivores, and cave bears from other parts of Europe. Based on the ratio of different types of nitrogen in the amino acids within the collagen, researchers concluded that the cave bear was a strict vegetarian. Fossils sometimes sit in museums for many years before they're properly described. 2 such fossils sat on a shelf for 20 years before recently revealing that anchovies weren't always the little chumps they are today. While modern anchovies eat plankton and grow to about 15 centimeters long, the prehistoric Monosmilus chorloides was about 1 meter long and ate other fish. It also had a saber tooth, as in a single saber tooth poking out from its upper jaw to complement a row of sharp fangs on its lower jaw. That's right, M. chorloides was a predatory anchovy that impaled its prey. The 45-million-year-old M. chorloides hails from the Paleogene, when a surprising number of fish transformed into ruthless killers. The niche for ferocious fishes opened up when the larger sea terrors were killed off by the dinosaur-obliterating asteroid 66 million years ago. Like its brethren species, the ancient anchovy from the Eocene epoch evolved into a beast to fill the niche and feast on lesser fishes. Last but not least, we have a mammal that defies logic. Myotragus balericus, a 46cm tall dwarf goat from the Balearic Islands, survived millions of years by adopting a strategy from the reptilian evolutionary playbook, cold-bloodedness. Its ancient goat bones stunned scientists, who had never expected to find the tree-like growth rings within. Since warm-blooded creatures are continually building their bones, they don't exhibit this skeletal quirk. But cold-blooded animals grow their bones in spurts when resources allow. Those resources didn't allow much wiggle room on the barren, unfruitful island of Majorca. So, the Balearic goat became smaller and borrowed some reptilian biology. Now it could laze around in the sun all day and not constantly worry about food. However, its reduced size and metabolic rate came with a drawback. M. balericus couldn't fight or even effectively run away from its predators. Luckily for this goat, it didn't have any predators on the little island. So this puny, defenseless, non-athletic goat enjoyed its Mediterranean paradise for 5.2 million years. That's twice the average reign of a mammal species. M. balericus was eventually killed off 3,000 years ago when humans arrived. The ancient world was a crucible of innovation, where life forms evolved extraordinary adaptations to navigate the diverse and often harsh environments they inhabited. The animals covered exemplify the ingenuity of nature's evolutionary processes. Each adaptation was a testament to the relentless drive for survival, allowing these creatures to thrive in their respective niches. In a broader sense, these unique animals challenge us to consider the future of biodiversity in the face of rapidly changing environments. The story of these ancient animals serve as a powerful reminder of the ongoing narrative of life on our planet, a story that continues to unfold with every discovery. As we look back at these creatures and the ingenuity that produced them, we should be inspired to preserve the natural world and its myriad life forms, ensuring that the story of life continues for generations to come. Australia is a land of geological contradictions, with some of the oldest features in the world, alongside rocks which are still in the process of formation. The continent is home to rock formations dating back to more than 3,000 million years ago, whilst others are the result of volcanic activity which continued up until only a few thousand years ago. It is a continent that has always been the subject of unique environmental pressures. It is now isolated and surrounded by ocean, but this was not always the case. Ice ages bring with them much lower sea levels, and the last glacial period was at its most intense about 20,000 years ago. By around 11,700 years ago, the ice had retreated and rising sea levels separated mainland Australia from Tasmania and New Guinea. This same process has happened to this continent for millions of years. These lower sea levels gave non-avian fauna the opportunity to colonize this land. Then subsequently rising sea levels isolated them, which caused some species to evolve in more unique ways, than in most other parts of our world. In this video, we will be exploring the fascinating world of prehistoric Australian megafauna. These incredible creatures roamed the land thousands of years ago, leaving behind a trail of evidence that has captivated scientists and sparked the imagination of many. From massive marsupials to towering reptiles, the prehistoric Australian landscape was home to a diverse array of megafauna species. Paler chests, also known as the marsupial tapir, was a creature that once inhabited the ancient Australian landscape. Belonging to the family Palerchestidae, this herbivorous marsupial was one of the largest and most distinctive members of the prehistoric Australian megafauna. Palerchests possessed a robust and muscular build, with a body length of approximately 2.5 to 3 meters and a shoulder height of around 1.5 meters. Its most notable feature was its long curved claws, which were likely used for digging and foraging. These claws were reminiscent of those found on a tapir, hence the nickname marsupial tapir. The head of Palerchests was small in proportion to its body, with a short snout and a large, strong jaw. Its teeth were well adapted for grinding plant material, suggesting that it primarily fed on vegetation. The presence of high-crowned teeth indicated that it likely consumed tough and fibrous plant matter. One of the most intriguing aspects of this animal was its unique limb structure. Its forelimbs were significantly longer and more robust than its hind limbs, giving it a somewhat hunched appearance. This adaptation allowed Palerchests to use its powerful forelimbs for digging up roots and tubers, enabling it to access food sources that may have been otherwise inaccessible to other herbivores. The exact appearance and behaviour of Palerchests are still a subject of speculation due to the limited fossil evidence available. However, based on the skeletal structure and the analysis of its teeth, scientists believe that Palerchests was a solitary and primarily terrestrial animal that inhabited various habitats across Australia. Procoptodon, commonly known as the giant short-faced kangaroo, was a remarkable and imposing creature. As a member of the family Macropodidae, it stood out amongst other prehistoric megafauna with its immense size and unique anatomical features. As mentioned, one of the most unique and striking characteristics of Procoptodon was its impressive size. It was the largest kangaroo species to have ever existed, with some individuals reaching heights of up to 2 meters and weighing around 230 kilograms. This made it significantly larger than any modern-day kangaroo. Another distinctive feature of Procoptodon was its short, robust face, which gave it its common name, short-faced kangaroo. Unlike its modern-day relatives, Procoptodon had a relatively flat and broad skull, with large eye sockets and a shortened snout. This unique facial structure likely played a crucial role in its feeding habits and allowed it to consume a variety of vegetation. Its limbs were also adapted for its large size and hopping locomotion. Its hind legs were long and powerful, enabling it to cover vast distances in a single bound. The forelimbs, on the other hand, were shorter and sturdier, suggesting that Procoptodon had a more limited ability to use its arms for grasping or climbing. The diet of Procoptodon is believed to have consisted primarily of tough, fibrous vegetation such as leaves, shrubs, and grasses. Its teeth were well suited for grinding and chewing plant material, indicating a herbivorous diet. The presence of specialized cheek teeth further suggests that it may have been adapted to consume tougher vegetation than its modern-day kangaroo counterparts. While the exact behaviour and lifestyle of Procoptodon remains a subject of speculation, it is believed to have been a social animal, living in small groups or family units. Its large size and hopping capabilities would have provided it with an advantage to finding food and evading predators. The extinction of Procoptodon, along with other megafauna species, is a topic of great interest and debate among scientists. Climate change, habitat loss, and the arrival of humans are among the factors thought to have contributed to their demise. Quinquina is an extinct genus of crocodile that lived in Australia from about 28 million to about 10,000 years ago. Most attributed specimens have been found in Queensland. It is speculated to have been one of the top predators of Pleistocene Australia. The most notable characteristic of Quinquina was its immense size. It is estimated that this ancient crocodile reached lengths of up to 7 meters, making it one of the largest crocodile species ever to have existed. Its massive body, combined with its powerful jaws and sharp teeth, made it a formidable predator capable of taking down large prey. Quinquina had a robust and muscular build, with a long and slender snout. This skull was well suited for capturing and holding on to prey, featuring numerous sharp and conical teeth that were ideal for tearing flesh. The sheer strength of its jaw muscles enabled this crocodile to deliver powerful bites, securing its position as a top predator in the ancient Australian ecosystem. Unlike modern-day crocodiles, this species was adapted for both land and water. Its limbs were relatively longer and more robust than those of its aquatic counterparts, allowing it to move efficiently on land. This adaptation suggests that Quinquina was a versatile predator, capable of ambushing its prey in both water and on land. It likely inhabited various habitats, including rivers, lakes, and swamps. Its ability to thrive in different environments made it a highly successful and adaptable species. It is believed that Quinquina primarily fed on large terrestrial animals, such as prehistoric kangaroos and other megafauna species, using its powerful bite to subdue and consume its prey. Diprotodon, meaning 2 forward teeth, is the largest known marsupial to have ever lived. This animal lived alongside the other Australian megafauna from approximately 1.6 million years ago until extinction around 46,000 years ago. Again, being one of the megafauna, one of its most striking features was its massive size. It reached lengths of up to 3 meters and weighed around 2 to 3 tons, making it comparable in size to a rhinoceros. Its robust and bulky body, combined with its short legs and large feet, gave Diprotodon a distinct appearance. Diprotodon had a unique dentition that set it apart from other marsupials. It possessed large, chisel-like incisors at the front of its jaw, which were used for gnawing on vegetation. Its molars were broad and flat, ideal for grinding tough plant material. This dental adaptation indicates that this animal was primarily herbivorous, feeding on a variety of vegetation, including grasses, shrubs, and leaves. The skull of Diprotodon was long and broad, with a prominent nasal region and a wide mouth. Its strong jaw muscles and specialized teeth allowed it to efficiently process and consume plant matter. Its snout was elongated, which likely aided in foraging and reaching food sources. Diprotodon had a unique mode of locomotion. Its limbs were positioned directly underneath its body, similar to modern-day elephants, which provided stability and support for its massive frame. Although it was a large and heavy animal, they were still capable of moving with surprising agility. It is believed that they may have lived in small family groups or herds, as evidenced by the discovery of multiple individuals in the same fossil deposits. This social structure may have provided protection against predators and facilitated cooperative foraging. Thylacoleo carnifex, also known as the marsupial lion, the largest carnivorous Australian mammal known, may have hunted other Pleistocene megafauna like the giant Diprotodon. Thylacoleo was one of the first fossil mammals described from Australia, discovered not long after European settlement. It may have been an ambush predator or scavenger, and had enormous slicing cheek teeth, large stabbing incisor teeth which were replacements for the canine teeth of other carnivorous mammals, and a huge thumb claw that may have been used to disembowel its prey. Thylacoleo had a robust and muscular body. It had a compact build with a length of approximately 1.5 meters and a weight of around 100 kilograms. Its front limbs were particularly strong and well developed, suggesting a specialization for climbing trees and pouncing on prey. The diet of Thylacoleo is still a subject of debate among scientists. It is believed to have been a carnivorous predator that fed on a variety of prey, including other marsupials and small to medium-sized mammals. Its powerful jaws and specialized teeth were well adapted for gripping and tearing apart flesh, making it a formidable predator in the ancient Australian ecosystem. Thylacoleo was well suited for an arboreal lifestyle also, with strong and retractable claws that enabled it to climb trees with ease. This adaptation gave it an advantage in hunting and escaping potential threats. It is believed that Thylacoleo would ambush its prey from the trees, leaping down with great force to deliver a swift and deadly attack. The exact behaviour and social structure of Thylacoleo are still largely unknown, but it is thought to have been a solitary animal. Its large size and predatory nature likely made it the dominant predator in its environment, with little competition from other species. As you may have noticed by now, I have particular fondness for prehistoric mammals, especially the ones who inherited the earth from the dinosaurs. It was a time of great change as animals rushed to fill the niches left by the dinosaurs. I feel no place on earth exemplifies this more than Australia, an isolated part of the world which took a unique path to anywhere else and a microcosm of the broader shift to mammalian dominance of the planet. Today we're going on an epic safari through ancient Africa to meet 5 megafauna that were so colossal they'd make modern animals look like they're playing in a sandbox. Get ready for a journey so packed with facts, your brain will need a vacation. Let's dive into the world of prehistoric Africa. We're starting this time-travelling tour with Dinotherium. Let's talk about Dinotherium, the terrible beast. But don't let the name fool you, they were just terribly large. These giants roamed Africa from around 9.5 to 3.5 million years ago, standing an impressive 4.5 meters tall and weighing around 14 tons. Now, here's a fact that'll twist your mind. Their downward tusks, which could grow to over a meter long, might have been used not only for digging up roots, but also for fighting off predators or even showing off during mating rituals. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. There's evidence suggesting that they might have even had a complex social structure, living in small family groups similar to modern elephants. Imagine these behemoths not just wandering around the lush prehistoric landscapes of Kenya, Uganda and Ethiopia, but engaging in social activities, maybe even mourning their dead like their modern relatives. However, as the climate shifted, turning their lush habitats into woodlands and grasslands, and with the arrival of early humans with their new hunting techniques, Dinotherium's days were numbered. From being the architects of their environment, bending forests to their will, digging for water in dry seasons, to eventually becoming extinct. Their story is a testament to the dynamic interplay between species and their environment, and of course, the relentless march of time. Next on our megafauna journey, we've got Civiterium. Enter the Civiterium, the four-horned giraffe. A creature so unique, it's like if a giraffe decided to go to a costume party dressed as a deer. They lived from 7 million to 1 million years ago, standing about 2.5 meters tall at the shoulder, with a horn setup that was the talk of the prehistoric town. Their large antlers may have not just been used for defense, but also for elaborate displays to attract mates. Essentially the prehistoric version of a peacock's tail. These creatures were probably well adapted to a transitional environment, capable of both browsing on leaves from trees and grazing on ground level vegetation, showcasing their versatility. They may have lived in small groups, navigating through the woodlands that were slowly turning into savannas. Yet, as the climate continued to change, making their preferred habitats scarcer, and as human activities began to impact their lives, Civiterium couldn't keep up with the evolving world. From being the fashion icons of their time to fading into extinction, their story reminds us of the delicate balance of survival and the impact of environmental shifts. They're a lesson in how even the most adapted species can struggle when their world changes around them. Now, let's get to a heavyweight of the African plains, Pelarovis. Here comes Pelarovis antiquus, the giant African buffalo, with horns that could serve as a natural archway. They roamed the African plains from around 12,000 to 4,000 years ago, with horns that spanned over 3 meters. Here's a fact that'll knock your socks off. These buffaloes weren't just big, they may have been key players in shaping the savanna landscape, managing vegetation through their grazing habits, essentially preventing the spread of bushes and maintaining the grasslands. But there's more to their story. Evidence suggests that these giants may have migrated seasonally, following the rains for fresh grazing lands, making them the original long-distance travellers of the animal kingdom. Their large herds could have been a sight to behold, moving across the landscape like a massive living river. Again, what is already becoming a bit of a pattern in this video, with the rise of human hunting becoming even more efficient with time. Combined with climatic changes, these majestic creatures eventually face their end. Pelarovis shows us the might and the fragility of nature's giants. And let's not forget the even larger buffalo cousin, Cincerus antiquus. Cincerus antiquus, the even bigger brother in the buffalo world, living from 12,000 to 4,000 years ago. This buffalo's size would have made it a true titan of the plains. It has also been theorized that their heavy grazing could have influenced not only the types of grasses that grew, but also how they evolved, favouring those who could bounce back quickly from being eaten. Archaeological evidence also suggests that they may have been even more social than modern buffalo, living in massive herds not just for protection, but for sharing resources and knowledge, making them the original community builders of the animal kingdom. Yet, like their cousin Pelarovis, they faced the same adversaries: human hunting and climate change. And now we're wrapping up our tour with a bang. The antelope with the coolest horns, Megalotricus, also known as the giant hartebeest. Megalotricus, the giant hartebeest, with these lyre-shaped horns that were the envy of prehistoric grasslands, living in the Pliocene to Pleistocene. Unlike many antelopes where only males have horns, Both male and female Megalochagos were equipped with these impressive structures, making them equal in the fashion department. But here's where it gets even more intriguing. They were likely among the largest antelopes ever to grace the African plains, grazing in vast numbers that could have influenced the very dynamics of the grasslands. As usual, it's those pesky human hunters that were a major cause in this animal's extinction. Since Africa is the only continent today with a vast array of what we could consider megafauna, I wanted to look back at prehistory and see what was there before. These megafauna were the original giants of Africa, influencing the landscapes, ecosystems, and even our imagination. Their stories are not just about their size and uniqueness, but about the lessons they teach us on adaptation, survival, and the impact of change. If you've enjoyed this deep dive into prehistoric Africa, give us a like, hit the subscribe button for more journeys through time, and ring that bell for notifications. Which extinct creature should we explore next? Give your thoughts below. Until then, keep exploring, keep learning, and remember, history isn't just old, it's a wild adventure. Catch you on our next prehistoric escapade.